Welcome to Hardly Initiated. It is your host, Tyshawn Jackson, here, Hardly Initiated, live with my co-host, Ryan Catchings.
Look, we got somebody, he's back, and he brought a friend, so
yes,
it's about to be crazy.
You guys know this brother right here because he came up and flamed up the set. So today, we invited this brother back for another edition, but not only did he come back, he brought the wife.
The wifey.
I brought my rib.
He brought the rib.
My rock. Yeah, my rib, my rider, and my rock.
Okay.
The rib, the rider, and the rock is in the building. Y'all already know. My bad, y'all. Hold on, wait. What's going on? That ain't me. Hold on, wait. We got something going on here. We got to mute this joint. That's you.
Bad. Yeah, I didn't know what that was.
Turn the sounds off. Let me introduce this brother. We in here rocking. Y'all already know him. Pastor James Edwards and Mrs. and Mr. Edwards in the building. Welcome to Hardly Initiated Live.
Thank you all for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us. Like I said, I brought my rib, my rider, and my rock. There is no me without you.
Okay, cool. I like that. I like it.
Well, we had to have you because apparently you are one of the advocates for Hardly Initiated.
Absolutely.
And you was the first to introduce Pastor James to our platform.
Yes, that's correct. I love to be able to hear a man's perspective. And so that's where when I saw what you all were doing, I told my husband, I said, yeah, you need to get a part of this. Like this is where it is. So yeah, absolutely.
I like that. We're appreciative of that.
And when I was talking, because I mean, first of all, y'all have been speaking so much about the episode. If y'all have not seen the episode that Pastor James Edwards did on Soul Ties a few weeks ago, you got to make sure right after this episode, automatic must watch. People still commenting and talking about how it affected their lives even up until this day. And you told me you had something else in the bag special for the people, y'all.
Yeah.
So we talking about this and I got so excited because he said that him and his wife put together the 7 core values that every relationship needs. And as soon as he said that, I instantly knew we needed this on the platform. So thank you guys for coming here today to bless the people. But before we get into the blessing, Ryan, talk to the people, tell the people we got coming form in this show here today.
So there's a couple things I really want to share with y'all, but I actually didn't talk to Tyshawn about it before the show to see if it was too early to release this information. But just know we got some major things on the way. Now check this out. I know I told you guys last week exactly where we at with the fundraising and raising money for the studio treatment. So we are still on that page, guys. Just keep in mind any super chat, all are appreciated, but anything at $10 or above, we will actually read live on air by myself or Tyshawn. And this is the thing. Last time we had Pastor James on the show, the members went crazy. The super chats went crazy. So I already know y'all better show out.
Yes.
Because he done brought the wife, because we got to get y'all straightened out. They need some help.
Oh my gosh. And first of all, we are in the midst of right now, like just a bunch. We're being stormed right now because we just recently had Samantha Lee on the platform who talked about her marriage that she had recently with Tyrese. Y'all know what happens when something hit the shade room, and it hit the shade room and it's going crazy. Okay. Tyrese just actually did a response to the actual episode that we just shot last Wednesday with Samantha Lee. And, you know, I think that's actually really relevant to what's happening here, because what we're seeing even on the internet now is the wounds of a relationship that the divorce happened a year ago. Well, it was finalized a year ago. The separation happened 4 years ago, but we still feeling the ripple effects through the entire internet today, right? So if we feeling it, I can imagine the families feeling it. I can imagine the children's feeling it. I can imagine the friends, the aunties, the uncles, everybody's feeling it at that point. And they're just an example, because that's the thing about, you know, being on a stage, because you just experience your life in front of people. A lot of people are experiencing that same thing on the level that they at. And it's probably because they don't have core values for their relationship. And they didn't have what we about to be putting here today. So I'm excited for y'all to put this here together. But before we even get into it, when we're talking about core values, what do you even define as a core value? What is a core value?
Core values are the values, the convictions, and the belief system kind of like the culture, the shared set of attitudes, the shared set of goals, the shared set of values that we share that characterizes the nature of our covenant. So both of us in our core, we got to have certain belief systems and we got to have certain convictions for the two of us to completely become one.
Absolutely.
Are you with me? So core values, the purpose of core values is, number one, I'm thoroughly convinced and fully persuaded that core values will keep you out of divorce court.
Yeah.
If they are the values of your core that you two have shared and you two have agreed and made an allegiance with it. So the strength is, let me keep my vow. Let me keep my value. And so therefore, when something is a value to me, I protect my values.
That's good.
When something is if something is a value to me, I don't only protect my value, but I also I feed my values.
Right.
You got me? My values feed me and I feed them. When something is a value to me, I'm not about to allow anything to get on the inside of my value to infect me, because core values are also protection from infection.
Absolutely.
I think I need to let her in.
I was going to say, I wanted to backtrack just a little bit. I was looking at a news article on CNBC. And so you would think, why do people get married or why people get divorced? You would think that it came from infidelity. You would think that maybe it came from money matters. The report said out of interviewing 1,000 people, 63% of people ended up in divorce court because, one, they never understood the commitment in marriage. And number two, they never fully understood their significant other's values, meaning what do they value as a person? So it could very well be that before there is infidelity, before there is a situation with not having with money or finances, how does your significant other, how does your wife or your husband, how do they value money? What do they think about money? Are they a spender? That's a value. When it comes to infidelity, how much how sacred is marriage to them? Is it just a piece of paper, or is it really that we are going before God and we are really entering into a covenant? So before we even get to the place of getting married, what are the values you've established by yourself individually? So I think what you said was a value is, what does it really mean to you?
Absolutely.
So if I'm a person where I was thinking that one of the core values was that, infidelity, men cheating or women cheating, and that's why the relationship's not working out, could it very well be that the value is, I look at marriage as something to do, and maybe I'm in this relationship and, life is going good. I want a partner. Maybe I'm just looking at partnership, but I'm not really looking at having a covenant, a real vow between someone. So if we don't establish the core values in the beginning, all the other little things are just branches. The core value is the real foundation that a relationship stands on.
And we create core values because if we create them, then we won't compromise our standards.
That's good.
I like that.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt.
I'm very curious because I want to make sure I got those two things. The first thing was the people, they didn't really know what
the level of commitment.
And the second thing
is they did not really know the values of their spouse that they were with. So like, for instance, let me think of an example. There could be a value that I literally really like for me and my husband to spend a lot of quality time together. I'm not a woman that really likes a lot of independence. I really, really enjoy spending lots of quality time, family time. And then there could be, you didn't really know that about them. Maybe it was something, well, yeah, this is something that we usually do, but now I have a career and my life is taken off and I don't have as much time that I can give my wife. Well, now you're married to her, but her core value was, I really love spending quality time. When we don't spend time together, I feel there's a separation or a wedge. Well, you're thinking that you're providing for the family and that provision and, that you're taking care of them. But in her mind, she's thinking, I really value our time together. And so from there, when you're not really understanding what she values, it can put a wedge in the relationship because you didn't really understand how much that meant to her at the time. Does that make any sense?
That makes absolute sense. And I want to talk about that first part as well, because now that you gave me a good understanding of that second piece, the marriage commitment, because Tyshawn talks about this. We had an episode, we had 2 different panels. We had a husband panel where we asked him about, if divorce would ever be an option. And we asked the same thing to a panel of wives. Now, the difference in the response to this question was the husband said, I'm getting married, absolutely 0 chance of divorce. Whereas the women responded with, I'm in it, but if this happens, I'm out. Right. It was always a but if. It's a contingency.
Yes, sir.
So could you explain, Mrs. Tiffany, could you explain what is the commitment of marriage?
Well, it depends on where you are in your belief system. Once again, before we start talking about the commitment in marriage, what do you really believe? So for me, commitment in marriage is I'm not just going to walking down the aisle getting so excited about being a bride. I am literally walking down the aisle to come to a man that I'm about to fully submit to. And we are about to make this commitment before God. Not just about each other, but we are literally going in to make this vow before God to say for better or for worse, till death do us part. And so for me, the level of commitment is at this age in my life where I am right now. And when we got married, I was 36. I don't have any contingencies. It literally means that we go back to what we're talking about, the core values. There are just certain values that we established while we were dating, that if we are on the same rhythm and we are on one accord with that, why would I even have a contingency? Because obviously there's something in the dating process where there's maybe a slight red flag, because how could you say I do and you know that you are making this commitment before God and this is a vow? And I understand. I'm not so super spiritual where I don't understand that things happen. But with that being said, where I am in my mind, my belief system and how I believe that it is us making this commitment where the Holy Spirit is the threefold cord keeping us together. I'm not looking at marriage as a way out. I'm looking at us building something together and we about to ride this thing all the way out.
Yeah. So we look at it as if exactly what the scriptures say, the two have become one.
Yes.
So therefore, when I walk down the aisle and I say my vows, what's literally taking place is I'm becoming you.
Yep.
You are becoming me. So when the two becomes one, there is no separation. The power is in the oneness. So therefore, I am all the way in her. She's all the way in me. And there is no way. And we've done marriages before, and we've done a symbolic illustration of when one person pour some sand in and another person pour the sand in. And then when you put the sand together, can you get the sand from separation?
Right.
Can't separate the sand.
Right.
Are you with me?
Right.
So therefore, based on our core values, based on our shared set of beliefs, goals, and attitudes, based off what God is doing with us, we don't even one of the constitutional rules of our house is we don't say the D word
at all. Don't say it.
We talking about the values, but we ain't even talking about the Constitution.
I like that.
Yeah, I'm serious. You got a Constitution in the United States, right? It's certain things that you do and don't do in the United States, because if you break the constitutional laws, you're going to get sued or you're going to prison.
Let me go a little further, because what may be allowed in another country is not allowed in this country.
Are you
so
with me?
Everybody's constitution is different. Now, it may not be something that they do over there, but over here in this house, this is our constitution. This is what we live by.
So when you walk through this door, it's just certain things, certain conversations, certain words, because we understand the power of it. It just don't come through the door.
Right.
So it's core values and the Constitution.
Yeah. We ain't gonna get in the Constitution though. We're gonna stay with.
That's episode 3. Constitution.
It's the English language. It's languages that part of other cultures where certain words that are included in the Webster's dictionary in English that they don't even have.
In other places.
In other places, it's not even a thing.
Absolutely.
So I like that you said that because divorce, it can often be used as a way to threaten a partner.
And so to back up what you're saying, in Japanese language, they've took out the word opposition, and it's defined as opportunity. So when anything take place, they're not looking at it as an opposition, something coming to them. right? They're looking, when COVID happened, they didn't look at it as opposition. They looked at it as opportunity. Am I making sense?
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah,
No ops.
for sure. Yeah,
Man.
yeah. And so, like you was just talking about, some people use the D word as an avenue to scare somebody.
Right.
It's dangerous to try to use the D word to scare somebody when you know deep down in your heart you really, really don't want that, but you want to get some control. But what you don't know is that when you are using this word and introducing it, you're producing a seed. And when you put the seed in the next person, that gives the person the opportunity to start getting ready to check out. Yeah. You're not checking out, but you're using the word. And when you use the word, it gives them the opportunity to start saying, let me start protecting myself. They start checking out. But all you had to do from the start was what? Not even let the word come through.
Right.
If you allow the word to come through, then you are allowing a seed to go inside of a person's heart. And then it's starting to create some stuff.
Yeah.
I'm making sense.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So that's the reason why in our house, we just don't, the D word, we don't even pronounce it.
Right.
So they got me thinking. You mind?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm thinking about, we had an episode where we had Dozy, who's a 32-year-old virgin, gentleman, very cool, very had a lot of great things to say about his experience with being a virgin and abstinence.
I watched part of that.
Okay, yep. And we had Camden, who's a purity or a wholeness.
14 years abstinent. 14
years abstinent, and we're having a conversation with them, and it came up about how different guys will have a different type of response. Let's say a not so good response to a woman communicating that she's abstinent, right? So I want to talk to you guys about that, because and what I was wanting to detail during that conversation was, I don't think it's the abstinence, a woman communicate that she's abstinent. I think it's the other things where the guys can see that this is not a core value of hers per se, or how she lives her life, but this is just something that she wants to apply to their specific situation. Does that make sense?
So you're saying that it's not technically that she's really practicing abstinence. She's just wanting to withhold sex from that particular relationship.
Exactly. Like for example, hey, so, well, yes and no. So she's abstinent, right? That's what she's communicating. But her Instagram profile has a bunch of scantily clad photos. Okay. Or her actions may indicate that it's something else going on. So she's saying, hey, I want to be abstinent, but it doesn't seem as if she's actually practicing everything that should come with abstinence.
Okay.
I understand exactly what you're saying. It's a hypocritical aspect in the middle of it.
Yes, exactly.
We didn't want to say that, but that's what it is. Go ahead.
Well, no, because I don't know her, but it's plenty of people that are flashing fancy cars and houses on social media and broke as a joke. So with that being said, she very well could have good intent. I don't really know. I don't, like I'm saying, I'm careful to walk on. I don't know her personally. So with that being said, I think there's something along the way that she may really still desire the attention that she's getting from men. Maybe I don't want to take it further and actually have sex, but I really do enjoy the attention from men. I really do enjoy the likes, the comments, and the shares. But what I post and what I do, it should be a Snapchat, a snapshot of your life, but that doesn't always necessarily mean, because literally to be abstinent and she's still maybe posting a picture, it sounds like to me, if I'm hearing the question correctly, the man or that she's dating, a man maybe just be thinking that she's holding out for him and not necessarily really telling the truth.
Well, just a situation where if you say, hey, I'm a Christian and I'm religious, but you don't go to church, you don't read the Bible, you're not amongst people of the same mind, then it's like, what are you really communicating?
Right. I agree completely with that. I think that's one of the scary things that this culture is in now. It's a lot of hypocrisy. We say one thing, but then we show a different version of ourselves. But I really want to hear a male's perspective with that, because you went ahead and called her a hypocrite already.
I didn't call her. I didn't call her a hypocrite.
All hypothetical, by the way.
Yeah, and I was just trying to understand as you was trying to understand. And so I'm just the type of person that when I get something, I just need to be clear.
Right.
Like basically, is it so you saying one thing, but you demonstrating hypocritical actions.
Exactly.
And so it can lead a man to get offended. It can lead a man to basically start taking the beliefs of I just think she might not want me. Right. But the truth of the matter is, in this age, in the social media age, I'm going right back to what you said. I'm thoroughly convinced and fully persuaded that a lot of people have a deep desire for attention. And when the desire for attention hadn't been appropriately filled, people will do anything for likes, comments, and shares.
Right.
And so I don't, like she's saying, I don't know her. So, but I can see clearly how a person could be practicing abstinence, because in their mind, watch this, people could also want a trophy for practicing abstinence.
Yeah.
They're not just practicing abstinence because it's really a value,
right?
But some people could just be wanting to be seen as a person to get on certain platforms to be able to say and just hold it in the grove for real. I'm not doing nothing, but at the same time, you know, exposing yourself to such a profound degree that other people will like, comment, and share, and you like. And so now I'm practicing abstinence, and so I love the attention. So I got 1,000 dudes I can pick.
Mm-hmm.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
So the satisfaction in the mind of a person to be like, I've never had this type of attention. I've never loved myself to such a profound degree. So now I understand I'm doing some, and it seems like everybody else loved me.
Right.
And so it could be a fabricated image. It could be a fabricated thing for a person.
And the only reason I ask that is because I'm trying to figure out, when do the core values start? Do they start when I get into the relationship, or do they start with me and then it's subsequent steps after?
They immediately start with you, individual.
It's
I
personal.
don't even know how you get into a relationship and now all of a sudden you're ready to define who you are. There are literally aspects that you should be walking in prior to a relationship so that you can attract who you are. So if you haven't defined any core values, who you are separately to getting into a relationship, you are in a very, very dangerous situation. Because if I don't define me first, whoever I partner with, they're going to define me.
Identity is everything.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't know who you are, anyone, culture, society will turn you into whoever they want you to be.
Mm-hmm.
So if I go into a relationship not knowing who I am, I become a burden to my wife.
Yes.
All right. If you go into a relationship not knowing who you are, you become a burden to your girlfriend. Why is that? Because you need her to define you. You need her to see something about you that you can't see about yourself. Mm-hmm. You need her to show you skill sets or show you gifts, talents, and abilities that you think you have, but you're not as confident as you need to be. And so therefore, when a person continues to have to encourage you, build you, edify you, and you're not confident to know this is who you are, you don't become a blessing. You're supposed to go into the relationship to be a blessing, but you end up turning into a burden because you don't know who you are. One of the worst things a person can do is go into a relationship not having their identity intact. Identity is everything.
These core values weren't something that we came up with while we were married. This was something that was established like completely early on. One of the things, wow. So we talk about, y'all know we are believers. We're believers in Jesus Christ. And so one of the fruits of the Spirit is, well, there's multiple: love, joy, peace. But the one I'm trying to get at is self-control. If I don't have the core value of self-control prior to becoming one with someone, why do I think self-control is going to be developed in the relationship? There is so much internal work that you've got to do prior to becoming one with someone, because if not, like he just said, rather than me coming into the relationship being a blessing, I'm coming in being a burden. I'm coming in bringing all of my insecurities. I'm coming in bringing all of my baggage, all of my drama, because I never did the individual work first. And so one of the things that I have to look at is self-control. So one of the core values that we have right now, I can't really even begin to even craft a core value if I don't even have any self-control. And I think that's why when we start talking about the D word or divorce, a lot of times it is because the other person has not been able to really develop self-control in the relationship. So how do I even begin to talk about a value when I don't even know how to control myself enough to even be able to receive and to respect the values of my mate? It's a lot of internal work that has to be done first.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me go into this. When we met each other online, and I'm pretty sure we end up telling that story.
That's dope.
Just tell it now.
Wow. For sure. Yeah.
We don't have to say the site.
When we met each other, this is what I knew, gentlemen. I knew this. She's not gonna change me. I'm designed to change her. There's no competition. It's just no competing. But I know who I am based off my core values. I know who I am based off my Lord and Savior.
Yeah.
God didn't design it for women to lord it over or control or change men. God designed it for the order to be God, man, and one man. So I had core values established in my heart. And this is what I knew, that my wife had to be on this rhythm. Right. I'm pretty sure she had the same thing. Her husband had to be on this rhythm. If we're not on the same rhythm, if we're not on the same flow, if we can't flow together, we definitely can't grow together.
Absolutely.
Are you with me?
And I want to define that just a little bit more, because it wasn't the fact that I met a man that was trying to change me, but I met a man that called me up to who I really was. I just needed someone to call me up. We deal with a lot of people where you get connected to someone, they call you down to where they are. Nobody calls you up to where they are. He had certain core values in his life that made me become a better version of myself. So when we use the word change, it is, how does this person that you're connecting to, how do they call you up? How do they make you become a better version of you? And that's exactly what he did. A prime example is, I grew up in the church. I took a long hiatus from the church. I was the girl that would scream, I love God. But I was the girl that I would also get to church and would want to hurry up after church was over to get to the bottomless mimosas. I wanted to turn up a little bit. I was like real confessing one thing, but my lifestyle, not that I was out there wilding out or whatever, but my lifestyle wasn't at the place where, if somebody, brief testimony, sitting at a bar, this is before I met my husband, sitting at a bar and they were playing Blow the Whistle by Too Short. I'm sitting there, I got a drink in my hand. I literally hear the Holy Spirit say, Tiffaney, if somebody wanted to know me, would they come to you to ask about me? And before I could even answer, he said, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You look like the world. You sound like the world. You're dressed like the world. It was such a deep conviction in me that I got up and left. That was 2 years prior to meeting him. But I had never met another man that was able to call me up into the true identity who I knew God was calling me to be. God was saying, you are my daughter. Cover that up, sis. You are my daughter. Utilize self-control. Why would you want to get drunk and then not know how you're getting home how you're getting home safely? He was calling me up to a standard, not to be super religious, but he was calling me to the standard to be his daughter. Not just, we call him our Heavenly Father, but he was calling me to the standard to really represent, to be able to show people what it's really like to be a girl who's completely in love with God. So when I met James, one of the most profound things was, I loved his relationship with God. I loved his prayer life. I love that he was a man that didn't do a lot of yelling and screaming. I love that he read books. I love that he wanted to know the inner parts of me. So when he talked about changing me, it wasn't that you're looking for someone to change you, but are you attaching yourself? Are you connecting yourself with someone that has the ability to call you up? Not where we're just, and there's areas where God knows that I've called him up, but we don't really look for that anymore. It's so based on the physical, but he was really, really touching me internally, calling me up to who I'm supposed to be.
Because relationships are about transformation. And transformation is the ability to go from to. So if you're in brokenness and you meet a person, they should have the ability to start putting some in you to take you to wholeness. Some people meet people and they're broken, and then from brokenness, they go down to depression, because transformation is from to. Whether you're going from to something great, or whether you're going from to something that's a disaster. Relationships are about transformation. When you connect with somebody, either they're going to bring the worst out of you, or they're going to bring the best out of you. Right. But if you know who you are, you know what you got to bring to the table. You know what you stand for. You know where you're going. If you know who you are, if you know where you're going, if you know what you want, you can bring the best out of a person, because you know what's in you. And you know when you got something in you, you got something to add to the situation. You don't have anything to subtract from the situation.
Ooh, so first of all, y'all already see what kind of episode this about to be.
Facts.
We 30 minutes in, so we about to let the Facebook group go.
Let them go.
Not only are we 30 minutes in and that, we already got over 800 people in the chat. Wow. So what I need for y'all to do,
that's growing fast. The amount of people in the chat is growing very quickly now.
What's gonna help grow it is you guys hitting this like button. Let's quickly get us to 400 likes. That's just a few of the people in here pressing that thumbs up button. Close your chat. Just take some time and actually press the like button because the world needs to hear this.
I got a couple shout outs too.
Let's go ahead and shout out our people.
Shout out to Bestest Friend. Shout out to Beautiful One. Shout out to Your Milk and Honey, Harrison Family Values, and Ayana Gibbs. Just a few people who have joined Hardly Initiated Family on the YouTube channel membership. And shout out to Keisa Walker. Keisa. So talk about Keisa a bit. How we know Keisa.
Man, back in the day, in our last company, this is me and Ryan's actually third business that we're in together. Keisa actually was one of the people that was in the workspace that we used to be in, and she's seen us go. You talk about transformation, right? From there to here, you see it happening. You see the evolution. So we love you, and I actually want to speak on that a bit. Did we finish the shout outs?
Yeah, we good. We well, you know what? Real quick, shout out to VJ. VJ, we just love you.
Shout out to VJ.
VJ has probably been the first person to drop a super chat on the past 15 episodes.
We're gonna do something special for VJ one day. Look, I'm calling now, VJ. Just
Facts.
Stay here with us, baby. Stay here with us.
Shout out to Rhonda Marie and shout out to Crystal Robbins. Crystal, look, I'm going to personally give this message to Pastor James. I want you to email us at info@hardlyinitiated.com. We're gonna make sure you good.
Yes. So interesting. I kind of talked about this prior, but this really is me and Ryan's third business together.
Okay.
And for each one of those businesses we started, a part of the practice and the exercise we had to actually start the business, the very first exercise was literally to create core values for our business.
Yes,
That's
sir.
good.
And the beauty of those core values was it really had us think about the approach and the angle we wanted to take in each business. And the core values was so important because the way we talked about the core values was the core values were that thing that would lead our decision-making in the type of people we would hire and bring into our business. And we always would say to the people that we brought in, if me and Ryan not around and y'all don't know what to do and you got to make a decision, you look at the core values as your North Star to make a decision.
Direction.
Right.
Because it always goes back to the core values and how we move and how we operate. And when I'm thinking about these 7 core values that we have, I'm just imagining that people are starting probably the most important business, the most important union that they can ever have. And that exercise is not being had. And I remember, I think it was, I think it was actually, I want to say it was this business we ran into. And I don't think we did as good as a job out the gate with our core values.
We didn't even said any.
And the funny thing is, when we talk about we had this evolution where recently we made a very big change in a pivot in the direction we went.
Value.
It really went into a core value exercise where we had to really figure out where the hell we was going and how we was going to do this. And it really took us actually getting our value straight. So let's actually start with these core values. Y'all kind of broke down the intro, but break it down for us, so we can know what values we need in our relationship.
Hey, well, look, let's not give them all at the time. We got to make sure
we gonna go one at a time.
Bite size.
We gonna just feed them a little bit so they'll stay.
Exactly.
Keep on going because they're gonna keep going up and up.
Hey, y'all, listen. Get your pen and paper out tonight because this is gonna be some notes that y'all need to take.
If you give them the 7, they're gonna think they got the whole message down.
Right.
Absolutely. If I may start.
I was going to say, it's not that I want to kind of sometimes because you're receiving information, you need to know who you're receiving it from.
Yeah.
My husband and I, we have been together for 9 years. We're coming up on 8 years of marriage. And sometimes people look at the length of something. What I can say, and I think you said that the last time that you were here, I can count on one hand how many times we have gotten into like horrific arguments or things that are just, that are toxic. Yeah. And I really believe it's been because of these core values. Yeah. So I think this is going to bless some people.
So in other words, we got fruit.
Yes.
Yes.
Fruit.
Yes. Yeah, we got fruit. We got produce.
I love that.
We can produce peace. We can produce love. You can produce joy. Not being braggadocious. We thank you, Jesus. But when you walk into our house, you'll feel peace.
Yeah.
Every person that's ever walked in our house, first thing they say, man, it's a peace in here.
Yeah.
It's a peace in here. because of these core values.
That's a compliment right there. It's some peace in here.
Yeah, some peace in here.
But look, don't hold it for us. Let's get them core values.
First things first. God is first, and we put each other first. Mm-hmm. First things first. God is first. Not money. God is first. Not children. God is first. Not our goals. God is first. Not our careers. God is first. Why is God first? God is first because if I put anything else first before God, if anything start happening inside, opposition starts coming to the marriage and storms start coming to the marriage and the foundation starts trying to get infected, then whatever we put first, that has to have the ability to begin to come in to fix whatever it is that we're going through.
Yeah.
So if God is first, now he's all power, he's all knowing, he's all present, he's all integrity. Whatever he says, if something is coming against me, watch this, I yield to what he says because God first means this. God is not just Savior, but he's Lord.
That's good.
Type that in.
Right.
God first means he's not just Savior, he's Lord. When he is Lord, this means that whatever he says, I have to be the one to be the student, to take the instruction, to obey whatever he says. So if it's anything that's going wrong, if peace is not there, then I can always go to God because he's first. Why is peace not in the home? Peace been in the home. Why is peace not in the home now? 9 times out of 10, he's going to let me know that something is not right and I need to fix it when he's first.
Right.
God is first.
I want to add, so I love my husband dearly. I know that he loves me too, but it's not the fact that I think that he loves me so much and that he's good to me because he loves me. It is literally the God that is inside of him, that is literally the Lord over his life, that is being his governor. So when you have a man that puts God first, it is the fact that that man has submitted to God prior to asking me to submit to him. You have more men that are unsubmitted looking for women to submit to them, where I look at him, because sometimes we can say, put God first. In this culture, that statement can sound cliche, but it's literally meaning, is God the governor of your life? When you are in a bad situation and you could either do the right thing or the wrong thing, are you governed by your feelings in your flesh, or are you governed by the Holy Spirit? And so that really, really matters. I've never understood it. We come to God and we go to the altar, and we 9 times out of 10, usually it's done in a church. Some people may get married in a courthouse, but I'm talking to people who get married in church. You'll get a pastor or whomever else to marry you, and you'll make this covenant unto God, but then God is not in the relationship. It's almost like you do it just for the wedding day, where I'm looking at my husband. God is first, not because he says that God is first, not because he has this amazing prayer life, which I absolutely love, not because he reads his Bible, which he should read his Bible. I know that God is first because God is the governor in his life. So that means when he leaves the house, my husband travels a lot. I'm not the woman that sits back where I'm insecure and I have to worry, because I'm like, God, it's not because I'm having to wonder, like, is my husband going to be good to me? Aside from me, before I met him, God was the governor in his life. Same thing with me. God is my governor. So I'm not answering to my husband. I'm first answering to the God that's in me. And then I'm able to fall back into my husband because he's submitted to God. It's the order, like he just said. It's God, man, and woman. But you really have to ask yourself, who is the man submitted to? A man that is submitted to no one is terrifying. That's dangerous. In some ways, he's become his own God. Because if you don't have anyone that is moving you in the avenue, telling you right from wrong, all men, we all have a conscience, meaning men and women. But who is your conscience controlled by? Is it controlled by how you feel? Or is it, I feel it, but I don't respond to it? Because even though I'm feeling this thing, God is my governor. And because I don't want to disappoint my father, I'm not doing this that can later on ruin my relationship. So when we talk about God first, that's really what we're saying. Is he the governor first in your life?
Yeah, not as an event.
Yeah.
But as a lifestyle.
Not about us going to church together.
Not about
which
church
is fantastic.
on Sundays.
I mean, we should go to church together.
Yeah. Yeah. But God is first. even when he's grooming me and I don't want to be groomed.
Yeah.
God is first, even when he's guiding me when I don't want to be guided.
When I don't want to be led.
When I don't want to be led. God has to be first in every aspect of my life, because like she just said, a man left to himself to be his own God will always self-destruct. Jesus himself said in the Bible, I don't do the thing unless I see my Father do it. I don't say it unless I see my Father say it. He came under to show every single man that we got to come under somebody. We got to come under submission, because if we left to ourselves, if we left to our selfishness, we're going to self-destruct.
Yeah.
God is first. Watch this. If God is first, and then the sequel to that under the same core value is we put each other first.
Yeah.
Mom is not first. Brothers and sisters are not first. Children, I know this is a hard one. Children are not first. The two have become one. So God is first, and now she's first in marriage. This is the power of our covenant. This is the power of our core values. See, because if the two becomes one and we're a team, it ain't a devil in hell or nothing that can stop us. When I put her first, she put me first.
So I got a quick question here, because when it comes down to it, I don't realistically think that ladies are really out here meeting men with amazing prayer lives.
I got you.
That's really reading their Bible every week. I mean, really, when we even think about it, I think they said the statistic was less than 30% of the world even reads.
Absolutely.
So realistically, I don't really think that these men are in abundance that have that closeness and that connection with God. So if God is first, and a woman needs to make sure that a man is submitted to God, and he's not really displaying these things, but he has some of the qualities that might be a good man. He's got a decent job. He's respectful, comes from a decent home. He's planning, at least looks like he plans on treating her right? And she's vetting him out. Should that be a concern for her? How does she go about, managing this type of man and that type of relationship?
Let me say this, and I'm going to give it straight to you. Let me say this. When you have a desire to become one with a person and fall in love with a person, and you're thinking about spending your life, the rest of your life with a person, and you're not where you need to be, and they open you up to see you're not where you need to be, I'm thoroughly convinced and fully persuaded that a person would want to start growing towards that place. Am I making any sense? So when they want to start growing towards that place, now here comes the core values. See, the core values can come in even before we even get into the engagement or anything else, because you know that we are going somewhere. We are becoming to go somewhere. We're not becoming to stay where we are. Right. We're becoming to go somewhere. So if I don't grow into who I need to grow into, then I can't hold my weight when it's time to go and plow.
Right.
Are you with me? So when it's time for us to do some real work, we need to be equally yoked. And so when you start talking about being equally yoked, then this literally means that I have the same level of strength that she has. She has the same level of strength that I have. And we can put us side by side with each other. And whatever speed, ability, and strength that it takes in order to get the job done, we got it together.
Yeah.
Am I making any sense?
Yeah.
So therefore, I'm not saying throw them away or be like, no, it ain't. No, I ain't doing this. Maybe he or she may be the one, but maybe it might not just be time.
It may be something that they need to grow into. That was going to be my question. That lady, like you said, maybe everybody is not sitting around praying and reading their Bible all the time. But my question is that one of her core values? Because if it's one of her core values, this is the thing. I think I heard on one of you all's episodes where they were talking about like a man of God. I'm not even talking about a pastor or a preacher or a deacon. I'm not even talking about a man of God. I'm just talking about God's man. Somebody that literally has the ability just to not want to do life separate from God. I'm not meaning that he got to do sermons and every time you look at him, he's sprinkling oil on you. I'm not saying that. What James just said is so true. Are you with someone that maybe he's just a good man? You know that he's going to love you. You know that he's a provider and protector. But my core value is I really do want someone that's going to pray for me. I want a covering in my marriage. I want someone that is going to be able to pray and lead our family. He's not there yet, But because this is one of my core values and we are considering marriage, then I would hope that he would want to grow into that version of himself, because that woman should be able to call him up to where she needs him to be. If her core values are God, man, woman, and right now she's like, I'm the one that's stronger spiritually, then maybe she calls him up to that, hey, I'm not looking for you to be quote unquote a man of God, but hey, babe, I really do want you to grow in this area. I want you to pray for our family. I want you to cover our family. Can we sometimes sit down and read our Bible together? Can we maybe attend church together? Plug in those things. And if he's really the one that God has for you, he's going to rise to the occasion, because what you're asking him to do is not something demonic. It's not something that's awful. You're literally calling him into a relationship that's not just beneficial for you all, but it's beneficial for him. I believe that all people have the ability to grow, but you have to first look at the person that you're signing up to be with. Are you willing to grow in this area to meet me at my core value? Because I'm the type of woman, I refuse to settle. I'm good with meeting you where you are, but at some point where you are is not where we're staying. And so you've got to know your strength and identity as a woman, because that's the other part is we counsel women who get with men and they knew that a man was deficient in an area. And now they're a year into the marriage, and what they were okay with prior to walking down the aisle, now they are in this big thing of like, help us. What do we do? And my real words to her, girl, get yourself together, because you knew what you were getting yourself into. Let's figure out how we go in now and try to make sure that you have, because everything is not about him. Some things are about you. Why were you okay with saying I do to someone when you knew that he wasn't in this area? He wasn't willing to grow. Why are you even saying I do to a man that you know is not willing to grow? So I go back to the original thing. What do? Is that her core value? Because if it's her core value, why are you entertaining a man who's not willing to come and meet you at your core value?
I like this message. I think it's a very powerful message that you guys are sharing with us now. And I'm thinking about that first core value. Put God first.
Yeah, God is first.
Now, it's some people that's watching this, because I would say we don't identify as a Christian podcast. We bring a lot of different people on, right? But it's people that are listening to this message that's like, already they done lost me with this first core value.
I'm sure.
Because I see myself as non-religious. I may see myself as spiritual, or I just may be in this place where I'm just generally not receptive to God in general, in whatever form. So this is a personal question for the both of you. I think, do you think for a man or woman that doesn't identify as religious, or maybe they're non-spiritual in some kind of way, do you think it makes it more difficult for them to find that potential long-term relationship or long-term partner?
I think the aspect of joining life with someone and not having any foundation, I guess my question would go back to that person. When things get hectic in a relationship, what do you do? Like, who do you turn to? I'm always curious about people who do life on their own. You are about to connect yourself to someone. So maybe you asking me the question, but I really have the question back to some of those who are saying they're not religious, they're not in a relationship with God. Then what is your source when things get out of whack? To me, I think it just makes relationally, I think it makes it really, really hard. I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. One of the most dangerous things that I truly believe, one of the most dangerous things is for two people to come together and say they're becoming one, but they don't have the spiritual aspect on the same rhythm. Because like I just said, if God is not the number one priority in my life, if he's not over me, then I'm over me. And so if I'm over me, I'm left to my own thoughts, my own feelings, my own emotions, my own this, my own that. And so like she said, when a storm comes or when something comes bigger than me, what do I do when I don't have it, when I don't have the wisdom, I don't have the power, I don't have the understanding to turn the situation around? Are you with me? Yeah. If I try to go into something and I'm saying the spiritual element is non-existent, then I've already eradicated, I've already eliminated a part of life that I'm going to need to keep this thing together, regardless of what we say, think, feel, or believe.
We're 3-part beings: spirit, soul, and body. So when I take myself, I'm not just taking me. My spirit is coming along. My soul is coming along. My body is coming along. If I'm not spiritual, what happens to that other part of me? That means you only want 2/3 of me.
Yeah, soul and body.
Yeah, soul and body. So I'm really wondering, what does that person do with the spiritual aspect?
I'm wondering too. I actually should we drop a poll on that?
Yeah,
I'm just curious.
What's the poll in particular?
Well, I'm just curious of how many people would identify as non-religious,
or but they would still, but non-religious and non-spiritual is different.
Okay.
Yeah, because a lot of people gonna say I'm spiritual.
Yeah, so
I'm not religious.
That's very different.
Yeah,
like it's people who are like they've rebelled against religion for whatever reason that might be, and they still say, "Look, I still want to learn, the spiritual science of the world, and I'm still open to understanding that." But then there's other people that's like, "No, I'm like the spiritual realm altogether is, whatever the case is," and they just totally close their mind to that. I think those probably are the more 3 categories, if anything, to ask. But I mean, I'm curious too, because I've never asked or polled our audience about their spiritual beliefs. And I think that's a really good point too.
And help me out with those 3 before you get started.
Just say, would they identify as religious, spiritual, or non-belief?
Yeah, non-believers.
What's that? Atheists?
Yeah, that's what it is.
That is what it is, atheists.
Mm-hmm.
But see, in general, it's like I too am with you on that, because even me personally, like, I mean, when and folks, like you might say you atheist too when till your back get against the wall.
Yeah, for sure.
And like you just starting to look for something, and the nearest and dearest thing might be a prayer to somebody that all of a sudden you're trying to build a relationship with, because things just harder and out of your hands and understanding, and that's where it can start.
You coming into a relationship or to a marriage, and you are not just you yourself coming in.
Yeah.
You coming in with somebody else. 2 people make up a relationship or a marriage. So therefore, you thinking one way, you believing one way, you deciding one day, one way, you feeling one way. You got a whole nother person that's on the other side thinking, deciding, feeling, and believing a whole nother way.
Yeah.
How in the world, if I'm thinking south and she's thinking north, how in the world can 2 individuals make it to the same destination without a third person on the inside that can gel them together and move them into the same direction?
Right.
It may start off good because, whatever we both like sports. We both like cooking. We both got some likes. It may start off like that, but in a matter of time, when life starts lifing,
life happens.
Yeah, and the depths of you have to be exposed. You better believe you're gonna need some help.
Yeah.
It's to be honest, we could do a whole damn show on that first core value. I promise you we can.
Yeah.
I promise you. But that's such a good point.
Yeah.
And here's actually what I want to do, y'all, because first of all, we got 960 people in here.
Okay.
The poll has just dropped. All right. So choose a category. Which category do you most identify with? That's religious, spiritual, and non-believer. And if you're watching a pre-record, just put it in a comment. Okay. And that's what I want for all the pre-records. I want you to put the answers to these polls in the comment section. But what I want y'all to do is go ahead and we got 116 votes here now. And it's funny. Typically, when we get about 115, 120, the whatever's set in there, the percentages they might just change by a few percentage points, but that's generally the answer.
Yeah,
no, that's generally what it is. This one is hopping around though.
Yeah,
this one hopping around. Okay, so we gonna let this one sit here for a minute. And it's interesting because when you're talking about these conversations about the core values, a lot of people can just find it very difficult to know when to introduce these or how to introduce this conversation. Mm-hmm. So I guess, I mean, how do we have this conversation when we, in that dating phase and getting to know one another? How do I say, what's your core values?
No.
Like, how do I figure that out?
Please don't do it that way.
Don't do it that way. I think you start out with your lifestyle. The greatest message you'll ever preach is how you live.
Yes, sir.
I think you start right there with your lifestyle. I think you allow them to see consistent decision making.
So it's not necessarily
what you say at first. At first. Because I got to give a person the opportunity to know me by what I do, not by what I say.
Right.
He was really slick with me. He asked me, "What books are you reading?" And I had never had a man ask me.
No, I asked that question.
Never had a man ask me that.
That's a good one.
That's a great one.
Yeah, it's showing you thought process. It's
sure
showing you the direction of the thoughts.
It sure is.
He asked me what books I was reading. He wanted to know like what television shows did I watch? Do I really even watch TV? He wanted to know like what I did for fun. Was I the girl that was still out clubbing, because he's more of a homebody? He asked a lot of lifestyle questions. And so the lifestyle questions let him know what rhythm that I was on. And so I didn't even know much about him. And so sometimes it's good just to ask people questions in the beginning so that they don't become a version of themselves just to make you enter into a relationship with them. I didn't know where these questions were coming from. He just asked the questions, and then I went ahead and answered, and here we are today.
Yeah, absolutely. and when, you know, like I say, you got to live this.
Yeah.
Because if it's in me, I know it when it's in you.
Yeah.
If it's not in you, I know you can't trick me. So I don't say initially start off, but for us, I think, man, our first conversation was like 5 or 6 hours.
It was a long time.
It was a long
yeah,
first conversation. First conversation was like 5 or 6 hours.
That's a good sign.
Yeah.
It was.
We met online. Go and tell the story. You do
so
great at
it. I got married when I was really young. I was 22. That marriage only lasted for 2 years. And Lord knows, core values were the farthest thing from my mind when that happened. And so I was too young. Got divorced, went through like a really, really hard season. And I was single for years, kind of dated here and there, you know, had a relationship kind of, but I knew that he wasn't the one. And so finally my mother one day said, well, you know, I'm spending a lot of time at home by myself, because I just told y'all my testimony. God asked me while I'm sitting on this at this bar, like, how will people even want to know me? Would they even come and ask you? So I'm sitting here feeling convicted, not really knowing what to do with myself. So I'm home by myself a lot. And so I had a lot of friends that had successful relationships from online dating. So I said, let me go ahead and just get my little thing. Now, this is back in 2014. So it's a little bit different now. Times have changed a lot. But then you had to go in and set up a profile and put up your credit card information. I did that, but they were offering like a free trial run. So like if you did it for 7 days, then you won't get charged for it. I actually went on there, and I went on a total of 3 dates. James was one of them, but I actually went on 2 dates with 2 other really nice guys too. I just wasn't feeling it. But prior to meeting him, I went on there to remove my credit card information. And there he was in my inbox. And when I looked at him, his profile picture was nice. And I'm thinking, this is cool. Now, this is kind of funny. So when you're online dating, if you all have done it before, there's a lot of texting back and forth. Nobody really does the phone calls. So for the podcast listeners who were maybe on the first one, my husband has a very, very interesting lifestyle. He did time in federal prison. So when
that's why he won out.
There you go.
He had that edge.
Right.
He had that edge.
But listen, so this is the funny part. Of course, you're on there and you're interacting with a lot of different men, but he's the only one that says, hey, can I call you? Like, can you give me your number? Can I call you? And I'm thinking like, this is interesting, because most people hide behind their cell phones. I didn't realize it was because he missed that whole era of text messaging. Like he was still like on that whole BlackBerry kick where you could chirp and you could leave, like, you know, talk to people like kind of like an intercom type deal. So I didn't realize it was because but I met you had been home for 3 years already before I had met you. Yeah. But when we got on the call, he wanted to know the books that I was reading. And what I did love, he never told me his background. He never told me his life. He got off the phone, and before we ended the conversation, he said, Google me. And then from there, I Googled him.
Stay mysterious, fellas. There's so many things going right in this right now, but go ahead.
I Googled him because he wanted me to make a decision after, but what I loved, he allowed me to find out who he was for those 5 to 6 hours. Then once he had already made the impression, then he said to Google him. And then when I Googled him, the news article came up and I saw everything that had transpired. The next day I talked to him. He said, did you Google me? I said, yeah, I did. He says, what do you think? Are you still interested in possibly meeting? I was like, yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that you were, it wasn't that he was upfront that he told me, but he allowed me to make a decision. And so we maybe met and talked on the phone on a Monday, and then I did not get a chance to meet him in person until that Friday. And we've been together ever since, from that one conversation on the phone to everything. We've been together ever since.
Yeah.
First of all, when you talk game slick, you got to make sure you get on that phone.
Yeah.
So it's two things going on. There's two things going on for me. Like she absolutely right when she said, I wasn't in the text message era. When the text message era started, I was locked up.
Yeah.
Right. But the second, but the second thing, seriously, because of my makeup and how I am, I need to hear a person's voice. Right. When I need to have a conversation with you, man to man, I'm the type of person that'll fly here to Atlanta and look you in your face.
Yeah.
And we talk man to man.
Yeah.
Because I'm this type of person. I heard what you said by text message, but I need to hear what you say because I need to hear the spirit behind what you say.
Mm-hmm.
Are you with me?
Yep.
So therefore, I'm testing the spirit by the spirit.
Yep.
That's the reason why I call. And so the second thing is also when there is a reluctance of transparency, then that's an illustration that a person is not as free as they think they are.
Mm.
When I'm reluctant to be transparent, to be open, to let you see inside of me, then that means that I don't want you to see something because I'm afraid that if you see something that I don't want you to see, it may deter you.
Right.
So therefore, I'm so free, I'm so transparent that I'm telling her, hey, we've had a great 5-6 hour call. Chemistry seemed like it's on fire. But, before you get into me and I get into you like that, why don't you see who I am? Why don't you see where I come from and see, can you handle that? Let me give you an opportunity to see if you can handle that. Because I had been through something before this.
Yeah.
Like, met a girl before her. And we talking, same thing. And it's kind of like, I can't bring you home to my mama.
No.
Like, I'm like, okay, you got me. But I wasn't afraid to be vulnerable. I wasn't afraid to be transparent because I knew without a shadow of a doubt, I'm going somewhere with you or without you.
First of all, thank y'all so much for sharing the love story.
Yeah.
They love that
because
the
people, it's giving us hope. It's giving the whole chat hope. The chat is going crazy right now.
Yeah.
They like y'all holding out. Y'all didn't tell them what the app was.
And I want to
let's open it up on a whole nother scale. Let's open it all the way up. Let's.
Oh, you ready for the phone? You ready for the phone call?
No, I'm saying as it pertains to they like the love story.
Yeah.
Where I come from, where she come from.
Yeah, my lifestyle.
Yeah.
My background is totally opposite.
Yeah, just give them a little bit more.
So, well, I think to know his, briefly, his father was murdered when he was 4 years old. His mother dealt with a heavy drug addiction while he was a kid. My mother and father have been married for almost 46 years. My father has always been in the home. I am a daddy's girl. I'm extremely close with both of my parents. So our backgrounds were totally different. But when I talked with him, I knew. That's why I don't like you asked the question about about people that don't believe in God. It was such a spiritual connection. I did not connect with him just in my mind and just with the thought of what it would be like when we met in person. We had a spirit to spirit conversation on the phone. I wish I could describe it better, but I got off that phone knowing that it was something totally different. But once I did find out his background, now this is me, people may not want to say it, but I said it to him. I'm like, every man go to prison and then find Jesus and want to come out talking about God. So this is your story. It's nothing different about it. And that's where I had to go back and eat my words. The life that he lived before me, it was crazy, and crazy in a good way. The way that he would pray, the way that it would be times where I would be like, we're on the phone or I want to talk. And he'll be like, well, I got to call you back. I'm like, what do you got to call me back for? Because I'm in the middle of this chapter of this book and I've got to finish reading it. It was just little things about his life where I was like, this man can teach me something. That was the missing piece for me. I don't want to sound cocky or arrogant, but I had never been with a man that could teach me anything. Leaving my father's house, my dad prepared me for life. I was well within my career. I was always the one that was trying to, if I'm dating or even when I was in my prior marriage, I was always the one, let's wake up and go to church or let's read or I was always the one trying to bring a man up because I was up. And I really feel like my story is like a lot of women.
Oh,
you
yeah.
meet a lot of women where we've done the work and then we desire love and then we have to bring somebody up in order for it to work. He was the first man that could actually teach me something. And when he was able to teach me something, I'm like, Lord, I can submit to this man because I really trust that he could lead me and take me somewhere.
Ooh.
I had never been with a man. I mean, I'm being honest. I was at a place where I had dated men where I would still have to call my father to come over and handle stuff. The day I'm dating a man and you're in my life and I got to call my daddy, something wrong. So
wow,
he was the first guy where I felt protected. I felt safe. I felt like he listened to me. I felt like he could lead me. I felt like he could take me somewhere. And those are the questions that I wonder for women. Can he lead you? Can he teach you something?
This is our saying. Can they challenge you?
Yeah.
Can they teach you? Do you trust them to lead you? Can she challenge you? Can she challenge you to go beyond where you think you should be because she sees something that is greater? Can she teach you? This was the first woman I ever met in my life that made me know I got to be quiet and listen to what she got to say. And I'm saying, like, my lifestyle before meeting her, I'm saying before prison, before changing, I was a stone cold fool. You know, I felt like my mindset was, if you ain't got more money than me, don't talk. Like, I really set on that mindset. And so I didn't really, in that lifestyle, right, I'm not going to where God has me going today. So that don't really count. But still, when I came out a changed man, I didn't meet no woman that I knew without a shadow of a doubt. When she started talking, I got to be quiet.
I think
Can she teach you? And then the next question is, do you trust them to lead you? Because the truth of the matter is, yes, I am the head. I make the final decisions.
Yes, sir.
But sometimes I got to pass the driver's wheel. I got to pass it over to her and I got to get in the passenger seat because the two becomes one. At some places, at some points, because of what's on her, what God got on her life and the wisdom and the skill set she flow in, I got to be comfortable enough as a man and confident enough to know that I'm passing the wheel over to my better half. And watch this. This is me too. But she's leading in this place and it does not take away from anything from me while she's leading.
And when he's passing me the wheel, if I get nervous when I'm in the driver's seat, he is so confident in who God has called him to be that there are some avenues where we are making decisions. And because of my background and in the finance world, that I will take the lead and I'll be trembling and scared all over just to be able to fall all the way back into him. It is priceless. That's the next question. Like, so many women, we don't have men, they don't have men they can fall back into. The men are having to fall back into them. And it's just, it's not fair. We are not designed to carry certain weights. And when you put a weight on me that God did not create for me to carry, it automatically comes in and it breaks our foundation. And so that's when disrespect comes in. That's when
dishonor.
That's dishonor, resentment. So many women we talk to, it's not the fact that she doesn't love him anymore. She just resents him. Yeah. She resents him because this has just been too heavy. Being with you feels like a burden. And it's just not fair. Funny example, just about growing each other, because I know you only got through two of them.
We hadn't even made it to the second one yet.
No. Yeah, we on the first.
Well, no, you were saying that we are. This a second ago, you were talking about the 3 reasons why we come together.
Did I say that?
Teach, challenge.
Yeah. Can I challenge you?
Right.
Can I teach you? Do I trust you to lead?
Right.
Yeah.
So it was funny where this is like a really light occasion. So a light story. My first time meeting him, we have dinner reservations. I think we were meeting at 7 or 8 o'clock. Now, my background, when we say dinner reservations, we're going to like a nice restaurant. Now, granted, we live in Houston, Texas. It's really, really hot. But I told him we're going to dinner. He told me to pick the restaurant. We would meet there. Y'all, he walks into the restaurant with like a button-down shirt on and some shorts. And at that point, I am like, this is dinner time. Where is your blazer? Where is your slacks? Even in some jeans, but he walks in with the shorts on. But I did not discount him in that moment. But later on, when we got deeper into the relationship, I'm like, hey, if you're invited to dinner and it's at a certain restaurant, put your blazer on. Yeah. Like, tighten up in that area.
She calling me up.
Yeah. So it was one of those things where it's funny But now, because he travels a lot and he does business, you better believe that when it's time to be in a certain situation or a place, he's prepared and he's ready.
Well, let me tell you, first of all, yeah, again, y'all see what kind of episode this is. Look, we're going to be on here probably till about 2 a.m. because we're doing about one core value for every hour. So y'all
we gonna
ride it out. No. Listen, we're gonna control the flow. Me and Ryan know when to let this thing go. What I want to do is I want to hold off on our initiation hotline real quick.
You do.
I want to hold off on it real quick. I want to get a little bit more of these core values out first, because it's gonna really give y'all context before we open up the phone lines. But just stay patient. We will open up the phone lines for the people. But what I need y'all to do before we keep going, y'all, it's almost 1,200 people up in this joint. We only got 531 likes. Share this message because we just getting started.
It's early too.
Share this with your people, and please hit the like button for the newer people in here and the old people that still ain't liked, so we can spread this. That's how it spreads on YouTube and goes to more people.
Absolutely.
But go ahead, Ryan.
Well, because we got some super chats, but shout out to Lee Dave and Latrice Lyle, and I think that y'all know Latrice.
Yeah, we know Latrice.
Okay, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so you brought the whole crew. Latrice, she actually said, and Lee Dave, they both sent this. Listen, I love y'all supporters.
Facts.
Because they done joined the membership and sending over the super chat.
Yeah.
So Latrice actually said, shout out to the pastors from TFCC Tribe.
Yeah.
She says, we love y'all, Pastor James and Pastor Tiffany. So
We love you too, Latrice.
Man, I didn't know y'all was bringing a gang with y'all.
Yeah, we don't roll by ourselves. We got a whole crew that comes with us.
Yo, shout out to Lee Dave. He said, Pastor James and Tiff, I love y'all. Can you please explain the difference between spirit and soul?
So, oh man, I really want to say, can we save all the super chats? Can we okay.
Yeah,
listen, can we save all, because listen, y'all, I really want to take y'all super chats, but I really want to get, because I already know what kind of show this gonna be. I really want to get y'all these core values as well. So hold off.
We're gonna save that one in.
Hold off real quick, because these super chats, they can flow on one of these super chats for another 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of super chats. And then when Pastor Tiffany, you was talking about the experience that you had with the men that you were dating prior to meeting Pastor James, I think a lot of women resonated with that. So I got some follow-up questions specifically about that.
Yes. So I want to get to the second core value real quick. Let's get to it.
Guess what? If it matters to me, it has to matter to you.
Yeah.
Core value number 2. If it matters to her, it has to matter to me. If it matters to me, it has to matter to you.
Can I, just to help give a testimony about what this means? So I am a dog lover. Love dogs. My husband knows that. He's not a dog lover. We're driving one day and I see these 2 dogs on the side of the road, and they are like kind of close to the curb. And I say to myself, oh God, I hope they don't come out into the street and get hit. We keep driving, go along with our day. We come back to the same area. One of the dogs that I saw earlier had gotten hit by a car and was laying in the middle of the street, dead.
Okay.
Devastated, like, oh my God, James. I'm like, you got to move his body, because if you don't move him, another car is going to hit him and it's going to be splattered across the road. That's me.
You crazy.
That's
moving
me.
A dead dog.
What matters to me mattered to him. You better believe he went and moved the dead dog's body out of the middle of the street and put it on the curb, because it mattered to me. You see how we laugh about that? But the fact that I married somebody that doesn't even like dogs, yet alone a dead dog, you can tell somebody you love them, but until you make love become a verb, it's just a word. In that moment, I realized my husband, he will go over and beyond for me. It made me want to go harder for us in our marriage. Something like that is just so simple that, well, not even simple, actually could be disgusting to some people. But he moved a dead dog's body for me out of the middle of the road because it bothered me that much.
It was all about the principle.
Yeah.
It's not about the action, because the principle comes from the heart.
Yeah.
The principle is what it is. But when I did it from the heart. Are you with me?
Yeah.
This is when you got to get out your selfishness. Get out of yourself, and you got to lay selfishness to the side. If it matters to her, it got to find a way to matter to me. Why? Because the 2 have become one.
Right.
So what she likes, I got to find a way to like it.
Yeah.
Like,
or at least respect it.
Yeah,
because you may not even like it, but you can still honor the fact that one of my values is, I don't want to say core value, but I'm an animal lover. So he may not have to even like it. It may be something that he never develops, but because he honors me, because he respects me, because he sees that it really was going to get under my skin. He took the extra step to do it. You got more people in relationships that are so self-centered that it could be something just very simple. You don't like this restaurant, but she loves it because it matters to her. Make the sacrifice and go to the restaurant. It's just, marriage is not about me just fulfilling all of my needs, but it's literally looking at your spouse and saying, okay, it matters to them. I'm going to make sure that even if I don't like it, if it never even fully matters to me, what matters to me is the heart behind it. You know what I mean? To this day, I mean, I think you kind of, the dogs are okay for you. It's not really a thing, but
we got another dog. I love this dog. Okay. He was a puppy when we got him. But the principle of the matter of this value is this: when it matters to her, when what matters to her matters to me, it opens up the door for intimacy.
Yes.
Right? Like, we can't go deeper if what matters to her don't matter to me.
That's a bar.
Because I'm closing myself off, and she's closing. I'm like, she's trying to show me what really, really matters to her.
Right.
But I'm closing myself off because I'm like, man, please, man, I don't know about, man, that dog, man, stop it, man, grow up. And so it wasn't really for her to grow up. It was an opportunity for us to grow up together.
For you to grow up. That's good.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
So the whole thing was, let me get out of myself. If the dog dead, but if it mean that much to you, let me go pull the dog off the side of the road.
I want to,
because that's what she want.
I want to add to this too, because you saying it does open up the door for intimacy in y'all relationship.
Big deep game.
And the thing, that's super deep game, because the thing about it is, if you close it off too much, now you potentially allow somebody else to have that door open.
Listen.
Who
somebody else came and got the dog out.
Yes.
Somebody else picking that dog up out the road, player.
Fast.
And that's where intimacy lies. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous.
Yeah, because she'll go hard for you. She will run up a tree and kill a cat for you if you just show her that you are concerned about what she like, what she want. What she see. She'll go hard for you when all you got to do is just pay her some attention and meet the need.
And likewise, because it's just not one-sided. It really matters to what matters to him. It literally it matters to me. I think about my spiritual journey. I have grown in leaps and bounds. And at first I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing this because I know, like, if he's reading a book or a spiritual book, maybe it's something that we can do together. I'm thinking of it that way, not even realizing that as I'm doing something because it matters to him, eventually it started affecting me, and it started making me grow and making me become a better version of myself. I literally study my husband. I want to know the things that he likes. I want to know the things that make him get excited, the things that bring him joy, the things that bring him peace. So if it matters to him, I make sure to try to figure out those things so that it can matter to me.
So now, I see how that's vital when it comes to a marriage, or you just committed to some sort of long-term relationship. But could that also be applicable to dating as well?
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Because the reason I ask that, because a lot of people will cut off the dating because we don't have enough in common. So I'm just thinking, when do you apply, if it matters to her or if it matters to him, it matters to me? At what point?
What intentions are you dating? Like, your intentions. So
That's a good point.
Are you? I would think at some point, unless people are just casually dating,
assuming we dating for long-term interest,
then absolutely. What mattered to me and that mattered to him, that just didn't come when we got married. I want to go ahead and remove this thought. What we're talking about are things that happened prior to us even dating. The dog happened while we were married, but long before that, why would I say I do to a man and something matters to him, matters to me, and it doesn't matter to him? I think that when you are dating with true intentions, you got to start, because why do you think that once you become his wife, he's going to treat you better? That is the biggest lie. Why do you think once you become her husband, now all of a sudden she's going to see you as the king of the house? If you don't see these attributes beforehand, marriage just basically exposes you even more. Whatever annoyed you prior, it just gets magnified in marriage. Whatever they weren't doing prior, they may come over now because you have the title of a wife or a husband, But if the only way you're going to be good to me is because now I have a new title, that doesn't even make any sense to me. A lot of these things have to transition from dating over into marriage.
Yo, did you ever close out that poll?
No, actually, I forgot about that poll. Let me close out that poll real quick. So I asked guys, choose one. Which category do you most identify with? We have over 500 votes, 518, 519 to be exact. And it looks like, I'm ending the poll right now, 62% of people say spiritual. 36% of people say religious, and only 1% non-believer.
So basically 62% saying this, I believe in God.
I think that's what that means.
I think that's what, and then the next one say, I don't want nothing to do with the church.
Yeah.
I think that's also what that means.
We can be real.
Yeah, I think that's what that means. Yeah.
Because we've both been in that place.
I'm from the streets.
Okay.
You got me?
Okay.
I'm serious. I
is that accurate? I want y'all to let me know. Is that accurate? Is Pastor James' assessment of what those two things is that accurate?
Yeah. And so the last one is like, I don't want, what was percentage of last?
Non-believer. I don't want to have nothing to do with
How many percent?
Just 1%.
Just 1%. Got you. So yeah. So with that, like, you got people that saying, I believe in God. So if you believe in God, this is where they're at. I'm trying to form a relationship with God and I'm trying to get there. They're basically saying, I'm with what you're saying and I'm trying to get there. God first.
Yeah.
They're trying to get there. So they pushing. So you don't try to get there by doing something every other day. You got to create consistent habits. You got to be persistent in order to get there.
Yeah.
Right. And when you get there, then once you get there, then you know exactly what to look for. Why? Because you created the habits and the consistency to know what it takes so you can demand it from somebody else.
Honestly, man, I'm happy we put that poll out. That really gave me a better understanding of the audience.
Yeah.
And they saying, Pastor James, they saying, you accurate. You accurate on that assessment.
Yeah, because I was there. Yeah, absolutely.
Likewise.
When I first came out of prison, I'd been walking with God for real. And then I got introduced to the church. And I was like, what in the world going on? Got rejected, got hurt, got some stuff took place. And I was like, I don't want nothing to do with the church.
Right.
Yeah.
Not even realizing that what God had put me in me was called, he was calling me not to complain about what hurt me, but to create everything that I see according to him on how it's supposed to go. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I that's why I kind of knew, like, I believe in God, but the next one is I don't want nothing to do with the church. Yeah. And so when you start talking about that, though, that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, that's a whole other. You
that's
really
a whole
shouldn't
other
separate the two, but that's a different conversation. Yeah.
So let me ask you this here before we actually get to the people on these phones. I want to get another. I want to get another core value in, because listen, first of all, if y'all getting these core values down, I want to see got it. All right, just got it down. If you getting this game that they putting down here, because
they request,
I'm really taking it in.
Rashida was like, third value, please.
Yes, right.
Rashida, here's your third value: physical abuse, verbal abuse, mental abuse, rejection, and neglect are cancers to our covenant.
Right.
Certain things we don't say, certain things we just don't do.
So that was physical abuse.
Physical abuse. I'm not putting my hands on you. You ain't putting your hands on me.
Don't even play like that. Don't even play like that.
We ain't even finna be.
Yeah, they're not even. Yeah, don't even play like that.
I hope they wouldn't do nothing crazy like that.
Y'all would be so surprised at the level of toxicity that's on this live right now, that's dealing with physical abuse, verbal abuse, psychological, mental abuse, rejection, and neglect in a relationship. Take a poll for that.
Now, what do you mean with rejection? Like with rejection? Rejection
meaning I want to be accepted in certain areas or certain things, and you reject me. Like, example.
Sex?
Yeah.
That's definitely one.
You better know it.
Yeah, it's definitely one.
Or like you'll never be good at this or something.
So we in marriage, right? So this core value, we in marriage. Like, sex, you can't reject sex. Because if you reject sex, then I might start thinking something wrong with me. And when I start thinking something wrong with me, I start looking down on me. And you're supposed to call me up.
Right.
Are you with me? So something got to be wrong, right? If you reject something, you got to you sick. Like, is it something you got to be communicating?
Right.
What's the problem? Because I'm serious. Like, this is why we get married. This is one part of the reason why we get married.
Right.
There's no greater intimacy.
Yeah,
than
for
that.
sure. God,
Absolutely.
he created sex.
Yeah,
that's
for
a
marriage.
great thing. He ain't created for fornication. He ain't created for the world. He created it for the kingdom. Yeah. But anyway, neglect. I cannot neglecting the need of the dog. Right? Neglecting her needs. Neglecting her needs to do whatever she need me to do. I can't neglect it, and I can't reject. She can't reject me. I can't neglect her.
Another thing, rejecting. Maybe it's a he. Maybe if it's a woman. What if she has a really great opinion about something? She has a really great idea about something. Every time I say something, because I'm a woman, I got to stay in a woman's place. I can't say anything. It's rejection, making me feel like I'm not seen in the relationship, making me feel like I'm not wanted or I'm not appreciated. So rejection comes in many forms, and you would be surprised at how many wives can feel rejected by their husbands in marriage, or how many husbands can feel rejected by their wives. And that's sometimes what's never given an excuse for it, but it opens the door for somebody to come in and to be able to cause a greater wedge in the relationship. Reject and neglect is major in marriage.
Can I give you one of the biggest forms of neglect that we deal with in marriages?
Give it to me
right now. The man has fallen in love with his job, and he loves his job more than he loves his wife. He loves his job more than he loves his home.
He loves the idea of providing.
He loves the idea of setting the goal, reaching the goal, and providing for the family more than he loves the family.
Wow.
And he don't even see it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Everything is for his family. Yeah. But meanwhile, he's neglecting the
Absolutely.
family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's the biggest trick in the world of the enemy. Right. And so just being honest with you, it's a deep, hidden, like a void on the inside of him that's telling him that if you don't achieve this, you are not who you say you are. You are nothing if you don't achieve this. So the drive for achievement, the drive to hit the goal, the drive to make the certain amount of money, it engulfs him. It just takes all the way over him, and he forget about the wife and the kids. He put them second or third.
And it becomes a cancer to the marriage.
Yeah. And what happens with that is the job becomes an idol.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Meaning the job or the money, the goal, achieving the goal is bigger than anything. It's bigger than God. It's bigger than my wife, bigger than my children. It's bigger than everything.
You know how we came up with this core value in our relationship. My husband is he's out there like social media. That's like his thing. He does like a prayer call in the morning. He's really into it. And so I'm the exact opposite. And so there was one particular time he gets up early in the mornings, maybe 6 or 7 o'clock. And there was a time where he would roll over, get out of the bed, and immediately go and start doing his prayer call. Well, I started feeling neglected and rejected in a way, because I'm thinking like, here you are rolling out of the bed about to pray for people, and you haven't even acknowledged me this morning, and you're laying in the bed right next to me. When I brought that up, it was like a light bulb went off. And from this day, he never starts his day without making sure that he rolls over and kisses me and says good morning. And then we start. So it's little things like that where it may have started off, well, like, y'all, you've been in the bed with him all night. You got to roll over and say good morning. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a new day.
Absolutely. Yeah. That really matters in marriage. Wow. You can't neglect the one that you have signed up to be with forever. How dare you give your best parts of you, your first thought in the morning of people that you don't even know before you give it to me? That matters.
Yo, you know what, Lionel, here's what we're going to do, because I want somebody to call up here. If you specifically dealing with neglect, we're going to sprinkle this thing in here. Okay. These calls, I'm going to sprinkle them in specific to the core values. I want it specific to the core values, guys. If anybody has any question that has to do with neglect in their relationship, or that they are experiencing or have experienced, I want you to come up here and ask that question. So go ahead and put the number up. It's time to get to the initiation hotline. We're going to want to take 1 or 2 calls max before we move on to the next thing. But go ahead, Ryan.
Go ahead and drop that.
I know when the hotline play.
I like it. Listen, Delano, when he get good at putting the sounds out, man. Shout out to Delano. Shout out to John Smith, too, who has gifted 5 hardly initiated memberships.
Shout out.
And he actually made a comment on here, which I thought was dope. He says, you guys are equipping me with the tools to save my marriage.
Wow.
That's good.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Big incredible, man. Yeah. And listen, go ahead. While this number's getting put up here and we're waiting for this call to come in, please, guys, smash that like button, because we already got 1,200 I think 1250 is a record, so I think we're gonna break the record tonight.
Well, the hands, because this thing, guys, have you seen? Because a lot of people's already anticipating Pastor James coming back.
Yes.
So if you actually have already seen the Soul Ties episode in full, I want you to drop Soul Ties in the chat.
Yeah.
Yes.
And meanwhile, we're waiting on that first caller to come up. I got a poll that I just dropped.
And go grab that book if you hadn't grabbed it yet.
Absolutely. Are you currently dealing with at least one of these issues in your relationship? Physical abuse, verbal abuse, rejection and neglect, or all of the above.
And if you're watching the pre-record, I want you to make sure you put your answer in the comment. And we got somebody on the phone here right now. So welcome to Hardly Initiated. Give me your age, your location, and your question.
Hi, my name is T. I'm from Baltimore.
T from Baltimore. Man, I love hearing the brothers on. You got to mute the show in the back. But listen, I love hearing the brothers
Bless you, sir.
on the show here. What's up with you,
brother? How old are you,
T?
I am 29 years old, and I really appreciate you guys because y'all definitely were a major role in like my masculine journey. I started reading books because of y'all about a year and a half ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You listen, you know, follow us for a year and a half. You already know you done seen the ups and
downs. We've been evolving right along with you, my brother.
That's a fact.
Man, who you telling, man?
So what's your question, brother?
So how do you exactly know whether or not you are being, as a man, whether or not you're being emotionally neglected or your woman is pushing you to not need that external validation from her, even though I know that your woman is supposed to validate and push and motivate you, but sometimes there's times where my woman may not, but I don't know whether or not I should say something at all times because I don't know whether or not I'm being quote unquote a simp at that moment, or I'm just being needy, or should I have the opportunity to still be open and vocal and say this emotionally affects me? It's just sometimes hard to weigh whether or not it's just me being out of place or I should just be direct about it.
Man, that's
I don't want to look soft at the end of the day. I need to be emotionally vulnerable.
T, that's a great question, T. I can't wait to hear you answer this.
In order for me to answer this effectively, I need a relationship with you. I need to know you just a little bit more. But this is what I will say. I'll say this. You get to a point when you want somebody to encourage you or to give you edification or to strengthen you, and they don't. So what's taking place is the revelation is if they don't give me the encouragement, maybe it's time for me to start encouraging myself. Maybe it's time for me to start building myself up. Maybe it's time for me to start loving myself at such of a degree. I want to just simply tell you, for a season, get the focus off her and put the focus on you. You give yourself what you don't feel like she's giving you, right? If it never comes along, if she never tap into you're a great man, you're a wise man, I see your strengths, I see your abilities, then that's when you know that it may be time to get you some distance. You got me? Because she should be able to see that you are building yourself up and you're growing into not needing something from her, and she may be feeling like that you needing too much from her and she don't want to verbalize it. So what I want to just tell you is just, if you can, just move the focus for a second. Put the focus on, let me build myself up and let me speak life into myself and let me not demand you to say anything to me. See, because once I give myself fulfillment, then when I start growing, maybe you may see something, maybe you might try to start adding on to it at that point. Am I making any sense?
Yeah.
Are you with me?
No, that's exactly what my therapist said the other day when I was rapping with him. Like,
wow.
He definitely said,
wow. Brother, 29 with a therapist? Yeah. Hey,
yo, he doing the work.
Hey, bro, you better drop your. Wait, hold on, T. You single?
No. I've been in a relationship for 4.5 years, and it started with a very traumatic point. Long story short, the day after I met her, she happened to lose her brother. We've been rocking out since then. I felt like perfect place, perfect time. And like I happened to be switching my life around at that moment. We just been moving since then. Still together, have had our ups and downs, back and forth. Yeah, you guys have helped us through a lot of situations, helped me see the things that she was saying and helped me see how I was incorrectly coming as a man in my relationship and how I did that in the past. Started to make that move to step more into my proper masculine energy.
Wow. Well, T, look, it's really a blessing to hear that, brother. And me and you, we just about the same age, so I know you really first of all, you're intentionally growing right now, which I love, and you taking that very seriously. I myself, a few years back, was in a relationship with a young lady where I've always been intentional about my ambitions, but I wasn't intentional about that relationship. And I know you've been in this relationship with this young lady for 4 years here. I'm just curious to know personally, are you actually intentional about wanting to marry this young lady, or is she kind of here a part of this, in this part of your journey right now? What's the situation?
I have never in my life, and this is my first adult relationship. I've been in play relationships forever. This is the first real relationship that I've been in. I can honestly say there's things she's taught me things because she's been through a lot in life. She happened to be engaged in the past, and that ended. So she's been a major teacher, which is one of the things that connects me here, because I'm a person who likes to learn. I've usually been the person in a relationship teaching things, being the teacher. I've actually been able to take a step back and learn and grow from what she's saying, because it helped me work through my scapegoats and my trauma responses and get a therapist, what my mother been telling me to do for over 10 years. Like,
wait, T, answer the question. Answer the question, T. Are you plan to marry this young lady?
Right now, no. I'm not even at a place where I could take anybody under the Most High covenant as a husband, and I've expressed that to her. I still got work to do. I wouldn't even do that.
No. And T, listen, by the way, no judgment, brother. No judgment. And for the sake of this conversation, because we still got 4 more core values to go, I'm gonna let you go. But listen, please stay tapped in. I'm very invested in your journey and your development. So just send us an email so we can stay tapped in. But much love to you, brother. Okay.
Oh, much love. Appreciate y'all. I felt like I stayed on too long anyway.
And T, listen, if it don't work out, you know where to find the single ladies. They waiting for you.
It's interesting. It's interesting. I remember one of my favorite quotes, Judge Lynn said this. Reason I asked him, she said, it's interesting when he's clearly in the building phase of his life. Yep. And it's interesting when a woman meets a man when he's in the building phase, because what she said is, what you do, he was like, look, for the ladies, if you meet a man and he's in his building phase, you will become a building block. And the thing about that is, if you become a building block, and here's the thing, she said you kind of have to become a building block, because if not,
she became a building block.
Well, no. What I'm saying, she spoke in general. Okay. If you meet a man in that, you either become a building block to him or you become a burden. Okay. So you actually have to become an asset in this phase of his life, which this young lady has. She's pushing him to go to therapy. She's doing this, she's doing that, which is why she's been able to valuably be in his life for 4 years. But that still don't mean that she necessarily get this role. That means that she is an asset in this season, in this phase, which is why I was curious. That's kind of the risk.
But is that okay? Is that okay for him to still be dating?
Y'all lost me. No. I had already tapped out at 4. And it's just I don't know.
Young, babe.
Yeah, I know he's young. I don't know, but to answering the question, it was just like, it wasn't like, well, maybe later on down the line. It was just like, no, I'm not ready for marriage yet. I just wanted to hear a little bit of more hope that maybe it's leading into that, because
he skated around that dance.
Yeah.
So it sounds like she need to actually be calling in.
Thank you. We're on the same page. Yeah, because that, it's one of those things. Am I going to be a building block that once you get to the place, you're going to go ahead and move forward in life without me?
Yeah.
Now I've given you 4.5 years of helping you build yourself to become. Now what's next? At least let me help you build when I know that we are also building towards something together. I don't believe in helping a man just individually build himself. If that's the case.
Now, see, here's what I would say, though, because we don't know that young lady's side of the story.
I don't know.
Because with that young lady, and I've seen this a lot of times too, that young lady, she might have had so much hell she's dealt with.
Yeah.
He said she lost somebody in the past. This brother might also be somebody who's her first person she ever met that's willing to learn, willing to grow, the best accountability partner she's ever had. And they could be both tango in this growth process together. But at the end of the day, that still don't guarantee any level of commitment or intention for marriage. So it's interesting how people can meet each other again in these different phases of their lives. And she might not even yet be at the point where she like doing that, right?
But is that okay? Is that okay for T to be dating any woman and not actually have intentions of a long-term situation in the future?
I think it's okay if the lady has agreed to that.
She accepted.
If she has accepted that or she has agreed to it, I mean, like knowingly, not like, so I guess it was two parts. I really commend the fact that he's 29 and doing the work. I first want to say that I think that is remarkable. But the first thing you asked, was he single? He was like, oh, no, I'm not single. No, I've been in. So he was eager to say I'm not single. But then when it got to the question about marriage, he's, whoa, no, not so.
I ain't ready. I ain't got this. I ain't got that. I ain't got this.
But so I would just, like you said, I would really have to hear her take on it. And it just depends on how old she is, what she really wants out of life. After, if she's on that 30 mark, if she's somewhere near that, I guess when and every woman is different. All I can do is speak for me. He didn't have 4 years. Like he didn't have 4 years to figure it out. And I actually met him when he was building. So before he was Pastor James, he was a motivational speaker. He was all across the United States speaking and telling his story. And then after that, he got in, somebody heard him giving his testimony. And from there, he ended up getting involved in pharmaceutical sales. So when I met him, he was doing different things, but then there was a time when I think you said Obamacare kicked in, and then he was no longer doing pharmaceutical sales. So he was on this thing of building, like really getting serious into ministry. But there was never a part of our relationship where he did not make me feel like I was included about where we're going. I just don't understand how you invest that much time with a man, and maybe you're desiring marriage, but he never shows you where you fit into the picture.
Core values always give direction.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, let's get back onto it, y'all. Listen, we're gonna hold off on the initiation hotline right now. So we are done.
We're gonna take one more. Let's
You want to take one more?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only because T had the good one.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Okay.
So they got to follow up strong with it.
Okay. We'll take one more. And I want to come back to it though. I do want to come back to this, but as throughout the conversation, I don't want to stop forever. I just want to.
Ty, he on a mission.
I do. And see, my goal was actually I wanted to ask some questions as we get to the different core values about these different parts of the conversation.
Got you.
That's kind of what I want to do, so we can theme the questions around the core values that we have in here tonight.
Very relevant
because
question.
That's the thing, is because the conversation is about to twist and turn in so many different places right now. We about to have a lot of different conversations because we on core value 3. I think we getting on to now.
We getting this one. Next one be 4.
We get on 4. Okay, cool. So we got you. Do we have anybody on the line just yet? Okay.
Hey, look, he ain't dropped it yet. He ain't pulled it up yet. We'll start. So go ahead and chill, Lionel. Chill. Let's Tyshawn, he focused. Let's get it.
Yeah. All right, cool. Don't worry. The initiate. We're gonna let y'all get on it. We're gonna let y'all get on the line. We're gonna let y'all talk tonight. But I really want y'all to get this game. So let's get to the next core value, and we're gonna go ahead and bring the phone lines in a little bit later.
The next core value is we say I love you every day. And we never sleep apart because of anger. So one of the things that we have established, and it actually goes really good after T's question, because I make it a priority. I may do it too much. It may annoy you. My husband never leaves the house without me saying I love you. Never happens. I can't, if I miss a day, if I miss a moment or miss some time or whatever, it's such one of our core values that it could just be a simple text, I love you. I never want him to leave home and have to feel validated by somebody out of the home more than he feels validated by me. And I say this, and we laugh sometimes when we talk to our married couples. If he's to step out and he was to do something, it was because at that time, it wasn't because he was neglected at home. Mm-hmm. I make it a point that he's validated, and I love you is really, really important to me. And then aside from that, there are some times where we can have a little disagreement, but our bed where we sleep, no matter what, we are going to be in the same bedroom. We're going to sleep in the same bed. We aren't going to even allow it to be to the point where you have some people start sleeping in guest rooms. No, we don't need to argue. And you pick up your phone and start scrolling on social media. And then after that, you start getting distracted elsewhere. We literally make it a point. I love you every day. And we sleep in the same bed every single day. No matter if we're angry, no matter if we're stressed out, no matter. This is a core value of ours. I know for a fact that no matter what has happened in that day, At some point, my husband has said, I love you, or I've told him that.
Yeah.
And then I know that I'm going to come home and we're going to go sleep in the same bed no matter what.
Now, is this even in cases? Because now I'm not married, but just from what I understand, sometimes these disagreements can span over days.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So is that typical for a disagreement to span over a few days or a couple of days?
For us, we ain't letting the disagreement last no more than 24 hours. It ain't gonna last 24 hours. The I love you is to keep the connection.
Right.
Right. It's to strengthen the connection. It's to maximize and steward the connection. So we ain't saying we don't get angry.
Yeah, because we definitely get angry.
Yeah, we human beings. We get angry. But the I love you is, man, we coming back to the point of reference for the purpose of why we together.
Right.
Right. And when we come back to the point of reference for the purpose we together, I love you is also thank you. Are you with me? Anytime where gratitude is present, man, you ain't got to worry about God not holding everything together.
That's good.
When gratitude is present, God gonna make sure that he keep his hands on everything. So when I say I love you, it's gratitude, it's honor, right? We can have a disagreement. I told this story, like I guess I'll tell it again. I told it on the last show. So we had been out of church for a while, about 18 months, because it had some things going on, but we end up going back in the church on August the 20th for having weekly services every Sunday.
Let me back up. With things that were going on, we were getting a new building. There we
was
go.
Getting a new building. Yeah, we getting a new building. Yeah. And so we went back to church. So the day before we was going back to church, I had a friend that came in town. And when he came in town, my wife, she's getting her hair done. She's doing this. She's doing that. She's doing this.
I wasn't.
And so
you still telling the story wrong.
Okay. She appeared to me to be so busy. And so I didn't call her and ask her if she wanted to come out to eat with us. Right. I'm running around. He running around. And I didn't think about it. I'm like, we all gonna eat tomorrow. We all gonna kick it tomorrow. He just got here. Whatever. Well, she was very offended.
Because the reason I was offended because I wasn't busy. I had literally cleared my day. That's because so here we are. So.
But anyway,
I love you. Throw one of those in there.
So I get home and we got a whole couple at the house too. They staying at the house with us because everybody coming to celebrate the new building we're going into.
Right.
Okay. And so that night, man, I don't even know how it even popped off, but it popped off. Like that's probably like the third time in our marriage in 8 years that it popped off.
With the couple at the house.
Yeah,
no, it popped off between us and the couple was in the house.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
They're on the other side of the house.
Okay,
so
good.
And they on the other side of the house, and I'm gonna leave, and I'm like, bye, I'll leave too. Like, we on all this, and so
just the dramatic.
We going there with it
nowhere.
And so 2:34 in the morning, I know I gotta be up at 5, and I don't deal like this. For me personally, I go to bed, and we ain't letting stuff like this. But this night, I felt like I'm right. She felt like she right.
But it's really funny that I know this is a core value because I'm not lying. I went from the closet to our foyer, back to the closet because we about to go somewhere. Ain't went nowhere. Just walking in the house in circles. He's got up and I'm like, well, I'm gonna leave too. Ain't went no. I mean, literally walked to the garage, came back. So ultimately, we both got back.
Everybody fake leaving.
Everybody fake leaving. We both got back in the bed.
Yeah.
And
so
then,
we get in the bed, 2:34, go to sleep, and I can't sleep. And so soon as I get up at 5 o'clock, boom, and I'm like, God, how in the world do we fix this? Core value number 1.
Right.
God is first, and we put each other first. The friction has hit the marriage, and I'm trying to figure out, I can't stand up before all these people today and act like it's something that is not, because I ain't built like that. I'm cut from a different cloth.
Right.
So I'm like, God, gotta fix this. And he simply said, ask her what you can do to make this right. I ain't asking her nothing. Question, is he my governor? Is he my guide? Can he groom me? Is he Lord? Babe, what can I do to fix this?
Yep.
And she immediately just jumped up like, we'll fix it. Don't worry about it. We're going to make it through the day.
All I needed to know was that he saw that I was angry. And just that one simple thing of how do I make it better? It squashed the whole argument.
So this at 5 o'clock. So I know this. I've done exactly what God told me to do. Ask her how I can make it right. No matter what she do or what she say, I did my part. I went to sleep, y'all, right then at 5:15 to 5:30, and it felt like I slept for 10 hours.
Wow.
You got me? We got out. We went through the day, had the day. Amazing day. Everything was good. And the peace of God hit the house. Can I tell you why?
Why is that?
It was simply because I allowed him to be Lord in the situation.
God knew what was going to soften my heart.
Yeah.
And that's how I don't know how people do a relationship absent of him. It wasn't even the fact, because there was nothing that he could do to fix it.
Yeah.
It was literally that he stopped and acknowledged that I was upset, and that he also acknowledged that we just can't go to church and lead people to Christ if our home is not right. Then when he asked the question, it literally softened everything and it squashed the whole argument.
Yeah.
Then when he got up to get dressed, I was already getting dressed. It was an I love you too.
Yeah.
And we went ahead and finished up the day. Yeah. So to answer your question, no, we can't let things go.
No,
because we building something.
Right.
You know, because that's the thing. When you're building, why are you getting in a marriage if you're not building something? What we have is heavy. It takes both of us to build it. We cannot afford to go 2 to 3, 4 days without talking. We can't do it because we're building something. Maybe people that aren't building anything, they can go that way, but I can't. If we can't talk about it, that means that there's a part of me that's not functioning the way God has created me to function, because the two have become one. So the day that we can do life angry for that many days apart, apparently we're not really building anything right now.
And the beauty of a new day is a new I love you.
Yeah.
A new day gives the opportunity for a new I love you. And when the new I love you comes in, it washes away what happened yesterday.
Right.
It washes the strength of what happens away yesterday, if I really, really mean it in my heart. Because like I say, I love you brings gratitude in. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
So here we go. Marriage is for the mature.
Yes.
If you immature, then you will let anger keep you fighting for 2-3 weeks. And if you fighting for 2 or 3 weeks, then here comes anger, then here comes resentment, then here comes hate. And when hate starts stepping in,
resentment,
here come the division. Yeah, here come the bitterness, the division, the resentment. All of this starts stepping in because we are not mature enough to be able to just release ourselves and say, I'm wrong or I love you. Let's figure out a way to make this right. We ain't talking about 7 core values to a toxic marriage or a toxic relationship. We're talking about 7 core values to a healthy and a godly relationship.
We're going to do that one next.
Right.
Yeah. 7 core values of a toxic relationship.
I'm curious. How do you respond to a significant other that's pushing for you to go sleep on the couch or for, them to go sleep in the guest room?
First and foremost, like she said from the start of the conversation, if we ain't got this core value established before the storm come, then when it happens, then you can fight against, I'm sleeping over here because it hadn't been established as a core value.
Got it.
Anything goes.
Yeah. So we established from Constitution.
That's why we kept fake leaving, because we already knew that we don't do this. We don't do this.
Yeah, we don't do this. We're sleeping in the bed.
I think that's a huge one, because I was thinking that when people did that, it was more so they can cool down. But really what you're doing is allowing potential for other things to kind of come in between you.
And fester.
Right.
Can I tell you a situation about the cool down? You tell it.
No, you go ahead. Tell it.
It was Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
You tell it. Yeah, I know.
But first of all, let me tell you why you got to tell it. Because first of all, he told that story, the same story, last time he came up, but it was way different when you came, right? Because you get 2 sides of the story.
What's different about it?
Because she wasn't busy.
Okay.
She wasn't really busy though. See that?
Obviously, we still have not settled in that part. That was the whole reason for the argument.
Okay.
Right?
But I want to hear this Thanksgiving story though. Let me hear this Thanksgiving story.
So check this out. So it's Thanksgiving. My people in town, and when my people come in town, let me say this: when you've outgrown certain levels of toxicity.
Oh, I already know what you're talking
when
about.
When it comes back into your space.
Those holidays, boy.
You kind of like put your defense mechanisms up.
Yeah.
Because what you saying is, I'm not about to become that no more. I've already outgrown that. I ain't going back into that. Right. So
I want to jump into this part real quick though, because it goes back to one of our core values. Remember, we said God first, then we put each other first.
Yeah, here we go.
Now, so this was the thing. He had family come into town for Thanksgiving. Now, me, because I told you all how I grew up, our backgrounds are different. I just believe in family, and I believe us all being together, not fully understanding the dynamics of him and his family. So I interjected myself into a situation trying to bring together closeness in his family, because I'm real family oriented. It's the holidays, let's all get together, not knowing the level of dysfunction and toxic relationships that he had with his family. So a particular family member came to town, and this was my first time seeing him interact with this particular person. And he was very agitated, very irritable in a way that I had never seen him before. And so we're arguing. I don't even know what we got into an argument.
That was the second time or the first time we ever had an argument.
This was our very
first.
This was probably our first holiday
situation brought
together.
the argument in.
Yeah, the person that came brought the argument in, because I'm thinking like, why are you acting like this? You need to be nicer. You need to do this. You need to do that. And he like, you don't understand our background. Stay out of it. So we end up really, really getting into it, because I didn't like the way he was responding. But this is me having a limited understanding to how it is with his family, because I didn't know this was our first holiday together as being married. So he gets really, really angry. It's a bad argument. He takes off and he leaves the house. He starts driving. He had that cool down moment. Now, mind you, this is the first real healthy relationship that I have been in. I've been in other relationships, but our relationship is healthy. I immediately go into a panic. Like, how am I going to tell my mother and father that he's not coming to our house for Thanksgiving? Because I'm thinking he's left, not realizing that he has left to cool down. I'm thinking he's left and we're about to spend the holidays apart. So I start blowing up his phone.
Why do you think that?
Because of my past experiences with prior relationships. He's the first healthy relationship I've been in. So I interpreted his cool down was leaving. You're gone. Like, it's gone. His cool down was, no, I'm really cooling down because I don't want this argument to go somewhere that I know that it can go. And then there's an added pressure because once again, somebody is staying with us in our home.
Right.
So he ends up, but while he leaves, I'm texting him, like going off, like, how dare you leave on Thanksgiving Day? What am I not even realizing? And so finally I'm doing all this texting and I've gotten myself worked up. Then I hear the front door open. He comes in, he walks upstairs and he gets in the shower like nothing is wrong. And I'm like, what is going on with you? He was like, I left so that I could cool down, so that I can gather my thoughts. Let me get dressed so we can get to your parents' house. Argument was over. The cool down part is major. But the thing is, he didn't need to cool down for an entire day. He took him a 20, 30-minute break, cooled down, and came back to the house because our core values is that we don't put anything before us. It's God first. It's me and him. He just needed to breathe because the person that was from his family that was in our home, it was literally, they were about to form a wedge where it was going to be God, then family, then James and Tiffany. He was like, let me go ahead and cool this down and leave. And then he came back and it was a happy Thanksgiving.
Self-control.
Yep.
Right. I know me. So in this level of toxicity, I gotta displace myself from the situation and I gotta gather my thoughts and I gotta approach it in a different way because the family member ain't going nowhere. They still gonna be here for the next couple of days. So I gotta reset. So in the midst of the reset is take yourself out of the situation, focus on what you need to focus on, come back to it and approach it in a whole nother way. She didn't understand what was going on. Right. So when I come back in, it's like ain't nothing ever happened. She like, how in the world that happened? Because I know how to control me.
Yep.
Are you with me? Right. So when I feel my emotions going past where they need to go to, this is how I deal with me. Sometimes you got to displace yourself, but that don't necessarily mean displace yourself and never come back.
Yeah. You're not displacing yourself for an entire week.
Yeah.
Now, once again,
I'm just recalibrating.
We're talking about light issues in a healthy marriage.
Yeah, buddy.
Now, if there is some infidelity, if there has been some physical abuse, some verbal abuse, that's one of those things because I completely believe in healthy separation because sometimes it may be that I have to remove myself from harm's way for you to gather yourself, for you to understand the detrimental, the awful parts that you are causing to our family. So I believe in healthy situations, but it's just levels to things. This is for the couple that may be arguing about, financial issues or, working with the kids or schedule conflicts. This doesn't apply to the woman that may be telling the husband, you can't sleep in the bed with me right now because I just found out about you sleeping with somebody else, or this, you just literally, this argument escalated to the point where I became fearful. I thought you were about to put your hands on me, or this argument did escalate, and now it has turned into physical abuse. Then at that point, that's a different conversation.
Absolutely. There's levels to this thing.
Because I love you, it's not going to fix that. Going to sleep, even though we're angry in the same bed, it's not going to fix that. This is for mature couples that are in marriage trying to learn how to get on the same rhythm and stay in sync with one another. No. This isn't for the woman that's getting beat by her husband, or the man that is also getting hit by his wife, or there's infidelity in marriage, because sometimes healthy separation is a good thing.
I'm glad you distinguished between
absolutely.
And actually, we just released that poll too, which I think is relevant. Let's actually talk about that poll that we just let go too, because you're gonna be interested to hear these numbers.
So I dropped that poll, over 200 votes, by the way. Are you currently dealing with at least one of these issues in your relationship? We got rejection and neglect, verbal abuse, physical abuse, and all of the above. And it looks like this is above 66% rejection and neglect.
I told you.
Now you got 17% that's at all of the above, and then you got a 13% at verbal abuse at 13%, and physical abuse is the lowest at 3%. But rejection and neglect seems to be.
But 17% all of the above is kind of crazy.
Yeah,
that's high.
That's
to be dealing with all forms of abuse.
And you got to think about it. You got people that haven't been taught
one
avenue or one principle of this. You got people that's in relationships that has never had a mother and a father that they can look to see modeling something before their eyes that they feel like is healthy. So so you know what they're doing? They're getting in relationships and they're going based off what they think, what they feel, what they believe. And so anytime you are moving by thoughts that are motivated by you apart from God, it's destruction.
Right.
When you don't know, you just don't know. And then when you start looking at, well, they have fights in their relationship. They have verbal abuse in their relationships. They have neglect and abuse in their relationships. When everybody around you is doing it like this, it's common.
Right.
It's a world out there like that, Ryan. It's a huge world out there. Like, man,
this is what a relationship is.
It's people listening to us right now saying in their heart. They might not tap it out on the screen, but they're saying in their heart, these people up here showing out, they just lying. Ain't nobody living like this.
It is people right now.
Absolutely. I know well, because I've been to the level of toxicity that they're in. And I'm here to let you know that, there is a way out.
There's a level of peace in marriage.
You better believe it.
I don't know why we've gone with culture where we think that marriage is just, it's so hard. It's just, it's rough. It's not there. It's some really, really beautiful, peaceful parts in marriage that when you really, really get together and you both do the work, it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I'm glad you called those people out, because some of y'all listening right now, y'all afraid to jump in the chat because y'all feeling the exact way that Pastor described. And I can say, just from looking at because we look at the comments, and you'd be surprised how much me and Tyshawn are involved in the comments, whether it's on the live or just on the videos. And I've seen where people who follow us, I've seen them go from misogynist to now a little bit more understanding, from misandrous to now a little bit more open,
to cynical, just doubting and not believing any, you said, of this can exist, and all of a sudden having this level of hope and optimism.
Absolutely.
So we
that
see
these things can happen.
We see they're not fully there yet, but we can see it working. So
I've been there, man.
Yeah,
I know without a shadow of a doubt. I've been there, like, hate myself. I've been there looking at other folks like, man, please, that ain't possible. But when you come out of that world and come into this world, all things are possible if you believe it.
Man, well, let's keep it going then, Pastor. Because right now, first of all, let's do a recap for the people who just got up in here. Let's do a recap of we did 4 core values so far. And core value number 1 was you got to keep God first.
Yeah, God first. And we keep each other first.
And then core value number 2 was,
if it matters to you, it matters to me.
Core value number 3,
physical abuse, verbal abuse, neglect, rejection are cancers to our covenant.
Yeah.
So y'all better be taking notes on this one, because we about to actually get to the next one here.
Number 4 was we say we love you every day.
We say we love you every day, and we
never go to bed.
We don't sleep apart when we're angry.
We don't sleep apart when we're angry.
I actually really like that.
Yeah.
I actually really like that.
It's for the mature.
It's
That's
for the
mature.
mature.
You got people talking about having separate bedrooms before the marriage even started off. But we don't got to talk about that one.
Let me tell you, that's the thing. Separate bedrooms is a thing, by the way.
You know, it is a thing.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
That's like some real modern. That's like some new age stuff.
About articles that I've read.
It's new. It's real new.
That's a new thing.
See, this brother ain't on texting. He ain't on none of that. He ain't on none of the new. It's just separate bedrooms.
Back on texting. I think came back.
But no, that's one thing I can say. It's interesting because James is not deeply in culture like that. So that's like one of those things that you
got to guard your heart.
Yeah.
So I've been real deep in sin. So anytime you go deep in sin, you got to go deep in God to stay out of sin.
Yeah.
Because if you don't go deep in God, then you'll start getting tempted to turn around and go back.
Yeah.
Like I can't afford to do a whole lot of stuff a whole lot of other people can. You got me? My life on the line in a whole nother way. So I limit what my eyes, my ears, and my mouth. I limit the things that get on the inside of me.
As we are, and limit me. Also, we can replace limit with protect.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Sure.
So I 100% understand.
Absolutely.
What's that next core value for our people out here?
The next core value is we don't keep score.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's I'm surprised that's not number one. Well, number two. That's a good one.
Right.
That's a good one.
Yeah. We don't what I did for you. How many times I did it for you. And what you act like you can't do nothing for me. We don't keep score.
Mm-mm.
We do what we do because we do what we do.
Absolutely.
And it ain't got nothing to do with how many times we do it for you. We want to do whatever we do. We can't keep score. Because if we keep score, competition coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's a good
Are you
point.
with me?
Yeah.
If we keep score, then we're gonna start. Then neglect and rejection gonna ease their way in.
Yeah, resentment.
It's gonna all ease its way in if I keep score. If I pay attention to every single time I make you coffee, if I pay attention to every single time I open up the door, if I pay attention to every single time I do certain things for you, and I'm like, you ain't done nothing for me, then I'm already setting myself up to be ungrateful.
Is that even a real thing? Is when you're in a marriage, is it typical for both parties to be giving just as much at the same time?
I don't think it's typical, but I think it's possible.
That's the aim.
Yeah.
Go ahead, babe.
I was just saying, I don't think that it's typical because sometimes in marriage, everybody has a different role, but it's really possible. And so you said that's why, that should have been like number two, but this is the thing. If it matters to him, then it matters to me. Mm-hmm. So that brings us back to where we are, where we don't keep score, because I've developed now a life where I am developing who I am and taking on the things that my husband likes. So now it's not a matter of keeping score. I'm just doing these things because this is just who we are. Yeah. But then there's another part where that's on the good side of keeping score. But it could also be on a part where I'm not going to go too deep on this because I think y'all, Dr. Spirit spoke so good about forgiveness, about unforgiveness. There are times in relationships when you are trying to heal and maybe something has taken place in the relationship and you're hurting. And so you've been keeping score of this wrongdoing that your partner has, and it's not releasing you into really being the wife or the husband that you could be because you've kept score about you've hurt me. You've really damaged me in this area. So I'm at a place now where I can't really release myself to fully love you. And so sometimes I talk to women where it takes work when you've been hurt and you don't want to keep the score. But when you sign up to say that I forgive him and I want this marriage to work, you got to do the internal work where you really can't keep score of the wrongdoing. Absolutely. If you're really going to try to move forward. Because how can you move forward if you're really looking back?
First of all, let me tell you, that's one of the biggest turnoffs.
Yes.
That I've heard, that in my experience with, ever dating women, if I ever hear any aspect of that coming out of her, that will instantly remove her as somebody that I would seriously consider long-term. Because in my mind, when you start to list out all of the things, even the things that you may have done, that you really weaponizing your good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of a sudden now you've literally built a case on me. Yeah. And now nothing seems genuine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now everything now just feels fake.
Now let me ask you a question. If she's built a case, and let's say that it's one thing, two things, how have you allowed it to get to a third thing? If she's building a case, how have you gone to try to fix what you did the first time or the second time.
Now, see, I think that there is genuine moments where, like, you know, somebody can neglect something and you're showing them a blind spot.
Okay.
And I think that's fair because I'm one track minded in life. So I need somebody to be like, yo, hey, Ty, you missed this.
It's a blind spot.
But I think there's a difference in being able to show somebody what they're missing and weaponizing what you've been doing
and not keeping score
and
about
keeping
it.
score.
Yep.
And I even hear ladies talk about what it sounds like from guys' experience on the other end with guys, and it's really crazy because especially the low level versions of it,
right?
Where you talking about it's a brother like, nope, I bought coffee last time.
Yep.
All right, the meal came out to $9.87. So this time, you know, it get real crazy.
Right. Yeah.
And that's just, I'm talking about, fellas, you want to know the fast way to turn a woman off?
Oh my God.
Is to have that conversation.
Yeah. that ain't working.
But you can keep score, you know, in a marriage when the stakes are even higher.
Absolutely.
Have y'all personally ever dealt with any version of that in your relationship, where maybe even unintentionally?
So we do think, yeah. So I don't know how deep you want to go.
Yeah, that's why you got to get permission. Like, we gonna go there tonight. Right. We gonna go there tonight.
I mean, like we call it a boomerang effect. And so like they're just to give like a minor example. We are still working on Pastor James's his cleanliness, how he takes, you know, yes, sir, we are.
You see the look?
Say what?
We're not working on it. We just worked on it at the hotel prior to coming here. I was asking you about that wet towel. What you gonna do?
I get it.
Leave it on the bed.
Sometimes you throw the wet towel on the bed. It happens. It happens. You take the towel off.
Couple bags of chips and left the chips right there. Like,
but it was a trash can right next to him. Just throw the trash
around the corner.
So here we are. But
this is a real couple.
Yeah,
it's real.
But you know what? But I guess also I'm so grateful that it's these type of arguments. Like, put the toilet seat down, put your shoes up. I would rather be arguing about this than why didn't you come home last night?
Whose panties is this?
Because that's not even an argument. It's a wrap.
Yeah.
So,
and certain things I see as preferences.
We're talking about
go ahead.
So there will be we call it the boomerang effect, keeping score, but also so there'll be times I'll be like, you know, why didn't you put your shoes up? And then he'll say something, well, you left your coffee mug on the kitchen counter. It's little things like that. But there could be so it's interesting, our relationship, I don't even know how to word this. We have been growing and we have been building. And so
from day one.
Now, after a while, you marry for purpose, you marry to build something. But there was a time in our relationship, I'm like, we're building, we're in purpose. But some of this is my emotional needs. Aside from what we're building, aside from the purpose of what we're doing, I need you to meet me in the place of my emotional needs, which was funny. If you all noticed when T called in, when he said, I don't know if it's if I should say something, if I'm being too emotional, or if I should tell her how I feel. So me and him had two totally different views on that. He immediately went to, why don't you encourage yourself? Why don't you tell yourself who you are? Where I'm like, well, if you're with a woman and she's the one that you're signing up to be with, why is it so hard for you not to be able to be emotional and tell her these are my needs that you're not meeting?
Yeah.
So my husband is not a very emotional man.
And my mindset, man, give yourself everything that you can give yourself before you put pressure on somebody else to give it to you.
So we're at this place where it goes into what I'm saying. We're in this season where, okay, we're building. I understand that we are building something and we're in purpose. But however, aside from that, I have some emotional needs. So I found myself saying, like, listen, you want me to grow in a level of spirituality and continue growing in reading of the word. That's good. That's the spiritual part of me. But what about the soul part of me? My mind, my will, my emotions, my personality, my imagination, the soul part of me. So you can meet me spiritually. If I can meet you spiritually, I need you to come over here and meet me emotionally. But there was one time that God really dealt with me. So many times in relationships, we are so busy looking at our spouse rather than looking at ourselves. God will never talk to you more about the person that you're with more than he will talk to you about yourself. When I learned that, it made me start realizing it's not always about you keeping score on what he's not doing. maybe this is a season for you not to look at him to give you something, but for you really to look at me, meaning God, for me to really come in and deal with whatever this emotional void that you think that you're feeling. Now, granted, I'm one where I told him exactly how I felt. And because what matters to me matters to him, that's something that we worked through. But I definitely think in marriage, it's got to be a place where the only reason you're at a place where stuff is constantly boomeranging and you're like, well, you know, it's going back and forth. It's because somewhere along the line, you're looking more at your spouse than you are looking at yourself internally.
Wow. And let me tell y'all, that keeping score, you know what? We definitely gonna talk to the people about the keeping score.
Would you want to open the phone line?
I would absolutely love to open the call lines on this one, because let's open it back up for the people.
Your keeping score is a demonstration of your immaturity.
And I want questions specifically of anybody that has having problems around this part of their lives. I want questions specific to this. All right. This core value around keeping score here, because this is such a great one. Like, we really wanted to, we could do a whole show on keeping score.
And I don't know what the call in is gonna be like, because the last time we had you on the show, we had the what was the 70-year-old, young 70-year-old woman, and she shared quite a bit with us, and that was a big surprise.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but she was ready though. That's why we got
so
you.
Funny.
That was funny.
Having some young problems too.
And you know what? I want to give a quick shout out to all the hardly initiated initiates, because you mentioned something which I think is very special, is that our esteemed guests like yourself actually watch the show to check out our other esteemed guests. So just the fact that you actually watched the episode with Dr. Spirit is amazing, because when we first started, and actually this is not even too long ago, we used to ask people, hey, have you ever watched the show? And they said like, no, y'all ready to just get started?
Wow.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I can tell that things are changing, and I want to give a special shout out to the initiates, because it's the initiates who are very aggressive with letting other people know.
Absolutely.
And sharing this, which is why we need everybody to share this video right now, because we still got some ways to go in here. We still got 2 more core values left.
Yeah, we got 2 more.
We got 2 more core values left. And what I want y'all to do, actually,
these other 2, boy, my God.
These other 2. So y'all better stay up in here. Yeah. Stay with us.
We already broke the record too, by the way. So last time we broke the record with you on the live, and this time it's over. It was close to 1,400 people live right now.
Wow.
So
right now,
let's get it. Let's get guys. Let's get 1,000 likes real quick. Okay, we had 794.
Hit the like button.
Let's get let's hit 1,000 likes. Let's make it a group effort to hit 1,000. And the good news is we actually have somebody on the phone lines right here.
And I know when
to HI Live. Give me your age, your location, and your question.
Hello.
Yes,
you on the show.
Here.
Oh, finally back. I've been trying to call you for like the last 2 weeks. Hey, y'all. Hey.
Hey, how are you? What's your question?
You know, I'm responsible for a lot of those likes and views. My friend's watching this video right now. My name is Melissa. I'm from Boston. I'm 35. Thank you guys so much for coming on the show. This is my 3rd time watching y'all's video. I just want to say thank you so much. I want to address a lot of the things that you guys were saying, because I feel like a lot of the things you guys are talking about goes to what is it, 1 Corinthians, I think it is. Love is patience, love is kind. Thank you so much for addressing that. I was in a relationship for 5 years, and I didn't know that one of the main rules that you do not do is if you get into like a major fight, you leave the room. That was like the beginning of the demise of our relationship. So I'm happy that you guys addressed that. Another thing that I noticed you guys didn't mention was the financial, what is it called? Control. Can we talk about that as well too, please? Like, sorry, I'm a little nervous right now. I'm just trying to get my thoughts together.
Well, okay,
Melissa,
so
you ain't got no question, Melissa, do you? You just want to come up here and show me off.
I don't have questions. I wanted to say thank you to you guys, and I also wanted to kind of deep dive more into what you guys are talking about in terms of the resentment.
Okay. Well,
and I think she mentioned financial control. I think because we've had we've had women to, detail that was some issues where they've allowed the husband to get the freedom to earn and bring home the bacon, so to speak, for the family. But I guess a consequence of that is that he expresses dominance or some level of control with the finances that they're just uncomfortable with. Is that something that you
no? So once again, it's just marriage is for the mature. I think my husband mentioned this the last time that he was on a podcast. my background is in banking. So it is just something that comes second nature to me, and I handle the finances. But the thing is, it could never be a place where I feel more dominant or he feels more dominant, because everything that we have together is joint. We don't have nothing separate apart from one another. And I know that's that's just not the norm in a lot of marriages. But it's just from day one, from when we got married, we got joint bank accounts because we don't have anything separate. I mean, our home is together, our cars are together. So there was no reason for us to have, now we may have a separate credit card, but the bill gets paid out of one account still. So I think it's one of those things where he was talking about where it's still God, man and woman, and he leads, but this is the area that I'm stronger in. So if a woman is married to a man and he is stronger in that area of finances, then there needs to be some level of respect, that even though that he's handling the finances, that doesn't mean that he controls it. I handle our finances, but I'm not in control of our finances. He does what he wants to do. My position in our marriage is that I just budget better than he does. Yeah. So I don't think that our scenario is really the norm for a lot of people, though.
Absolutely. Because we coach and counsel a whole lot of couples where they don't have their finances the same. She got her account. He has his account.
But can I add something real quick? Whenever that happens, this is 100% of the time when they don't keep their finances together, it is because somewhere along the line, there's a trust issue.
It's a lack of trust.
So anytime we ever see finances that are separate, by the time we get through undigging it, it is because it's something along the lines of them not trusting one another. They feel the need that they still have to have this separate life apart from one another.
No, that's good. Melissa, thank you so much for coming up here and expressing some love. Keep watching and sharing.
Can I just say one more thing? Sorry to cut you guys off. I also want to say really important. It's just really important. Thank you guys so much. I want to cry because, we're living in a day and age where everybody's like super toxic with all these toxic podcasts. I've been introducing you guys to a lot of people on the street, even men. Thank you guys for having Pastor Jamal. That's when I started watching you guys. And then what was it, Dr. Spirit? You guys are changing the narrative because this is what I want people to watch. I'm tired of hearing about the whole man versus women. People are really fighting out here, and I feel like there's a spiritual warfare. So I was calling you to give you guys props and say thank you because you guys are very healthy. I like the direction that you guys are moving in. So thank you so much for this. I really appreciate you guys.
We appreciate
Thank you, Melissa. Much love to you and the family.
From Boston.
You're welcome. Take care. Thank
you.
you.
All right. So we're going to still call up on the initiation hotline. Okay. So I want you guys to call up here. And guys, again, we are on the core value that's talking about keeping score. So I want to hear some questions, some concerns that you have.
We let Melissa slide because she showed a lot of love.
Yeah, listen, she was just filled with love. I felt it. But listen, come up here with a question, y'all. Come up here with a question so we can really get the game, pull the knowledge out of these two amazing guests that we have on here today. So Delano, let us know when we got some when we have some people on here. And please, guys, in the meantime, while the initiation hotline is pending, I need you guys to please get us to 1,000 likes right now. It's incredible. We got 1361 in the room right now, and somebody is on the phone here. Welcome to HR Live. Give me your age, location, and your question. I hear you on the phone. You got to mute the show, by the way. Y'all mute the show. Go ahead. Welcome to Hardly Initiated. Oh, they don't even know They're gonna listen, y'all. Y'all got to come ready today.
Yeah,
they coming ready. They throwing off the flow.
They like, who is that? They need to hurry up and answer the question. That's you.
Yes.
Answer the question.
Yes. When y'all call, y'all better be ready. Look, no boost mobiles. All right. I need y'all to call up with everything ready to go.
I do have a question for y'all. So if in the situation you in this marriage where both people are occupying completely different roles, how does one party show appreciation for the other person and they're doing something completely different? So let's say I'm the breadwinner, my woman is the caretaker. How do I show as a man she's just as valuable, or the things that she's bringing to the table is just as important as me going out and getting the money?
I think we both have to have a value for purpose. I think we both have to have a value for the purpose for why we're together. The purpose for why we're together is a threefold purpose. Number one, to become each other. The next thing is to build something greater than each other. The next thing is to be a blessing to each other. Right? So if I'm becoming, building, and blessing, then that means each role is equally important. It's just as important for you to be the homemaker as it is for me to bring the bacon home. Both of them are equally important. We got to have the understanding before we start, though.
Right.
We become, we build, and we bless. That's the purpose of a marriage. That's the reason why we together, to bring the best out of each other.
I was going to say, but to make it applicable, like, how do you let them know that their role is just important? How are you talking to them when you've worked all day and maybe you come home to your wife that's the caregiver? Do you take her and hug her? Do you love her? Do you let her know that you see her? Do you, when she's cooking dinner, do you compliment, like, man, the food is good. I love how the house looks. It's all, it's really, it's simple.
Affirmation.
It's just letting her know that I see you. It may not even be with words. It may just be with a tender hug or a kiss, or just taking the time to text her throughout the day to say something sweet. It's the simple things to let somebody know that I see you. Doesn't even have to be a grand gesture. It can be simple things like, we can be in a room of 1,000 people and I can see my husband looking, trying to figure out where I am. And when he locks eyes with me, right then I know that he has searched this room to make sure that I'm there looking and waiting for him. Women want to be seen in relationships. Do you see me? That's what creates intimacy. It's not always about going out and buying me flowers or a designer bag or showing up with something. It's just the nice gesture. Compliment me. Does my hair look nice today without me having to say anything to you? When I come into a room, have I left the house today where I feel validated as a woman before some other man walks up to me about, hey, queen, or, good morning? It's little things, just letting a woman know that I see you. And it's not always about money. It's about the sacrifice of acknowledge my presence. When I walk into a room, do you acknowledge that I'm there? That matters. If I've been taking care of your home and your children all day long, and you come into the house, another thing that's not in our core values, we make it a point not to walk into the house while we're talking on the phone to somebody. Because when you come home, let me be the first person that you want to greet at the door. Sometimes we start really strong when we're dating, but when you get used to somebody, when the spirit of familiarity comes into a relationship, you are dangerous. That's one prayer that I always pray, because he's my husband, but he's also my pastor. And there can be times where God will speak to him and say something. I always pray, Lord, never allow the spirit of familiarity to come in me, where when my husband says something, that I've become so familiar with the sound or what he's saying that I don't understand the power behind it. And that's just in ministry. That's one part. But there are sometimes you can just become so familiar in the relationship that what you started out doing, you no longer do anymore. So you no longer do the compliments. You no longer come and just grab her from behind while she's washing dishes. You no longer just make sure that you take a minute out of the day just to send her a sweet text. You no longer maybe just leave a nice card. I told my husband, don't buy me anything. I love when he writes me a letter in his own handwriting. A woman wants to be seen. The day you stop seeing her is the day that you really start putting a big wedge in the foundation and you open the door for somebody else to see her.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Oh, let that breathe.
Yeah.
Because y'all gotta, y'all gotta really take this in here tonight. These are the slow burn episodes that just come with so much heat and so much weight. And man, the spirit of familiarity is dangerous. And all of us are very susceptible to it. Nobody is subject or free of that. That's a very dangerous thing. I'm very happy you spoke about that. I think we finally got somebody on the phone lines. Look, you got gamed. You probably you better bring it, all right? Because the first people before you, they've been dropping the ball. So we need this from you right now. Welcome to Hardly Initiated. Give me your age, your location, and your question. Uh-oh. Come on now, brother. You here? Or sister? Are you here? You hear me? Oh, man. Let him go, Lano. It's over with. Y'all dropping the ball tonight on the hotline. Y'all dropping the ball tonight, y'all. We're going to have to hold it. We're going to have to hold it, y'all. I'm sorry. Y'all going to miss out. We're going to have to get to that next core value tonight.
Yes, yeah. I think they just not accustomed to when we drop. They was ready a little earlier.
It's all good.
Hello?
Hey.
All right, so we got somebody on here. How you give me your age, your location, and your question?
My age, I'm 31, and I'm from Dallas. My name is Jaleesa. And my question is, if we're in the flesh And so it's easy for us to do tit for tat, like, oh, you did this, so I'm going to do that. How do we go to the spiritual realm where we're more in line with God, where we're not holding grudges and we're not counting what that other person did against us?
You or me?
Well, I didn't know if one of you all, Jaleesa, I think that's a great question. You started off when you said when you're in the flesh. So we know that the flesh is a negative thinking pattern that goes against the will of God. Whenever you are in your flesh, that's meaning that's already you are in selfishness. You have already desired, you've already had this decision that you want to stay in the flesh and you want to be angry. I have been there too, Jaleesa. I promise you, I've been there. But one of the things that I do, I pray and I talk to God and I say, create in me a clean heart, renew in me a right spirit. Come in and soften my heart where, yeah, I do feel like maybe they deserve my silence. Maybe they deserve me to be able to sleep in another room and not be next to them. But at the end of the day, I have to take my eyes off of them and I have to put my eyes back on me. And I have to say, Holy Spirit, I can't do this on my own. This is really, really hard. I am still dealing with some anger or resentment. Help me to be able to navigate through this and give me the peace. That's the thing. This is a journey that you're on. So maybe even the question today that God has literally, it's not just by happenstance that you got in on the call and you made it through to talk. Maybe today God is just saying, I'm giving you some new tools. I'm giving you some new weapons to be able to know that it is possible to really ask God to soften your heart and to get you to the place that now it seems that you're fully aware that something is wrong because you said you got into the flesh. So I think tonight, God is telling you, get out of the flesh, get back into your spirit, and allow him to be able to lead you.
Is it any meat on the bone?
Thank you.
No, I'm good. And that's, I'm good. I know when and hey, Jaleesa, that starts with a simple decision.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
It's just as simple as that. When you ask the question, how do I do it? Just do it. Get out of yourself. Simple as that.
Para boom, para ping.
I once heard a quote. It says, just do it until you get into it. So you may not feel like it, but eventually if you just keep doing it, you'll get into it. And eventually you'll see your heart begin to soften. And what was so made you so angry before, you'll see everything turn and you'll feel the peace of God come upon you. So that's my prayer for you.
I like that.
Thank you.
Jaleesa, thank you so much. You have a blessed day, okay?
Appreciate you, Jaleesa.
Yes.
I thought you were about to go crazy. I thought you were about to say, when Ice Cube said, "We'll put your back into it," because he said that one too. We getting crazy tonight.
I actually heard that quote. I was at a women's conference and a lady got up and she was talking about what do you do when you're just not in the mood and you don't feel like having sex. That was her advice. She says you just do it until you get into it. And it's the truth. It really does. What made Slayer. But you may not feel like doing. Eventually, you'll get into it.
Listen, yeah. I ain't mad at that one. I ain't mad at that one. Pastor James says
new core value.
Right.
Number 8.
That's number 8, baby. Bonus
for the married couple.
For the married
couple.
Grown folks only. Grown folks only.
A lot of singles trying to adopt that one right now.
Right. So let's go. We actually on core value number 6. Number 6, here, y'all. Number 6. Let's talk about it.
It's about to get very interesting. You just talked about roles. Core value number 6. My role is sacrifice. Your role is submission.
But we don't believe in gender roles.
Damn.
So now submission. Now
here we go.
Yeah, he said the S word.
Yeah, they don't like that one.
So y'all, when we released these core values to our church, we did a whole hour and a half on submission. Because you're right, people do not want to submit.
Yeah. Sacrifice. Men, sacrifice. Put yourself aside for somebody else. Right?
Now they like that.
In other words, bleed. Like you bleed and let them like benefit off your bleeding.
So listen, what he just said, we have to do it we have to phrase it this way. Because what he just said, I can guarantee you, a woman that knows that a man is bleeding for her, she is more eager to submit. The reason people don't like to talk about submission, because they are asking women to submit to men that aren't willing to sacrifice for them. To submit to him, it feels so extremely freeing. It is weights that I have to carry. There were certain things as a single woman where it was all on me, When I got married, everybody says, what did it feel like when you got married? Your first, well, what does it feel like? I felt empowered because I was now at the place where I could fall all the way into someone because he was falling all the way into God. When there is no level of sacrifice, there will never be a level of submission. You want me to submit to someone who's not even sacrificing for me. I don't think women have a problem with submitting. I think they have a problem with submitting to men who are not submitted, and to men who are not willing to sacrifice.
True love will always make a sacrifice when nothing or nobody else will. Mm-hmm. When I really, really love her, I don't even think about not sacrificing. But when my love is being clouded, then I start keeping score and holding up on my sacrifice. But true love, it surrenders. Mm-hmm. And it says, whatever got to happen has to happen because I'm trying to show her just how much she mean to me.
Y'all do understand that.
Heavy, huh?
Heavy.
A man asks a woman to marry him. So when you're asking me to marry you, I don't understand how, and maybe this is something the men, because I like to hear from you all, what makes a man not want to sacrifice for the woman that he's with?
Fear.
Fear of what?
Fear that it's not it's not reciprocal. It's not going to turn out into be a good return, on his sacrifice.
Yeah.
He may fear that he won't get the submission from his sacrifice. Mm-hmm. He might just fear all the things might go wrong. Essentially, all the things that could go wrong, he's fearing those things will take place. And even if you hear our culture in the echo chambers of social media, that's what men are communicating, fear.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what concerns me, is because you have already created hypothetical situations. You've never even given me the option to submit. You've already formed this opinion of me that if you do this, I'm not going to do that. Yeah. So you've already planted a place for us not to really be able to enter into. I personally believe in gender roles. I just had this conversation with another one of my friends. I do. I believe in it, maybe because of how I was raised. To this day, my mother, she can drive, but my dad does not like for her to drive at night by herself because he's like, I'm her protector. I'm the husband. It's dangerous for her to be driving at night by herself. So for me, I'm not bothered by gender roles, although gender roles, they could maybe look different in today's climate, just because I'm not a homemaker. I am in corporate America, but there are certain things where we definitely have gender roles in our marriage. He takes out the trash. He makes sure the yard is cut. I make sure the house is clean. I make sure that we have something to eat. Sometimes it may have to go over to him if I'm working longer, but I don't have a problem with gender roles. And that's because he doesn't have a problem submitting. He gets the best version of me when he does his part. But when you have a man that's not even willing to do his part because he's afraid, he shouldn't be trying to take on a wife.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
Poll, by the way. I think we need a poll on that.
What's that?
Let's figure out, do they believe in gender roles?
Yeah.
I think that's a really great question that we've never asked the audience.
Let me help y'all. Let me help the men with a principle of maturity that I think accelerated my life in a whole nother way.
Yeah.
I think I caught this probably about 12 years ago, I want to say, right? 11 years ago for sure.
Yeah.
Anything that I give up for God, it positions me to grow up, to go up in a whole new way. If God tells me to give something up, this means he's trying to put me in position to go up. So giving up means I got to sacrifice something.
Yeah.
I got to let something go, right? And so a lot of times what I have to let go is something that I've become one with. But what he's asking me to let go, it cannot go with me. So he asked me to give it up. He don't force me to give it up, but he asked me to give it up. So I am afraid to sacrifice because I don't want to give something up. And the only reason I don't want to give it up, is because I don't think that it is the element that's going to make me go up to another level. But when I start thinking in terms of anytime he asks me to give up my wants, my needs, my desires, my beliefs for what he's saying for your wife, I can guarantee you that she's going to reposition. He's going to put something in her to reposition you in a whole new way to take your life to another dimension.
So good.
Are you with me? So therefore, you saying fear. I'm afraid that whatever I give up, I ain't gonna be able to go up after I give it up. Whatever it may be. That's what you basically saying.
Yeah.
Are you with me? But the whole kicker is my trust is not in her.
My God.
This is when you got to come back to core value number one. God is first. My trust is not in her. My trust is in him, because he said the two becomes one.
Right.
Wow.
Are you with me? So it's the see, because if I don't get this principle, then watch this. If I'm walking in fear, that means I'm not walking in faith.
Yes.
And everything that I'm required of in life and God, spiritual realm and natural realm, you got to have faith. You had to have faith to leave y'all jobs. Y'all did this. Y'all had 3 businesses. You had to have a certain level of faith from this business to this business to this business. So faith is universal.
Yeah.
Had to have roles too.
You had to, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, you play a role, he plays a role. But anytime I'm unwilling to sacrifice, that means I'm ready to settle. Because every next level of my blessing is contingent upon me giving something up.
Yes,
or giving someone up. So sacrifice got to be a part of our DNA. Because on the day that I stop sacrificing, that's the day that I stop growing. And I don't want to go into that because we got one more core value. I want to add on to that in that core value. But that's what sacrifice cannot be an event. It got to be a lifestyle.
Wow.
Now I just dropped that poll.
Go ahead.
I just dropped that poll. And let me know if this actually works. Do you think gender roles are ideal in a healthy, intimate, long-term relationship?
Okay, that's good.
I got yes or no.
Okay, cool.
Right now, over 100 votes, but I'm going to hold it.
Ooh.
Yo, please, because I'm actually surprised by what we got so far.
Yeah.
So please send in your vote. I want at least, because we got 1,300 people in the room right now. I really want to get about 300 to 350 people on this poll. So guys, do you think gender roles are ideal in a healthy, intimate, long-term relationship?
Options yes or no?
Options yes or no.
And if you're watching the replay, drop the yes or no in the replay as well. And I want to talk about this too, because what y'all are talking about now is so important, because our entire conversations, because we talked about the sacrifice. I think there's fear associated with sacrifice. But I think the same reasons that we don't sacrifice is the same reasons we have issues with submission. Because it's also fear associated with why we're having a lack of submission.
Right.
So I think this is an issue both the men and the women are having. It's fear. We live in fear-based lives. And that's so interesting that you said that, because you really gave the cure, because I think we trust in too much in people.
Yes.
Because that's the thing about it. It's like when you just move with the understanding that this is faith, like this is going to work out regardless. It's not about whether or not she does me dirty. That's what we worried about.
I know.
I'm worried about her doing me wrong. I seen divorces fail. I see what's happening online. I see all these divorces happen. I grew up in a house where my parents was divorced. My last 3-4 boyfriends cheated on me. So now this next one is going to also do me wrong. And it's all about what he's going to do and what she's going to do. So, I mean, to be honest, as a culture, I don't even think we're at a place to truly trust God.
Man.
Yeah.
I don't think that's where we at as a culture.
Here comes another element. Submission. Mission. Sub means to come under. Mission. So in other words, come under the mission.
Yes.
Could it be possible that some women don't want to act in submission because ain't no man giving her a mission to come under?
That's very possible. I think that's a big
1,000% correct.
Mission.
That's a big complaint.
Gotta have a mission.
Right. So if I got core values, apparently a mission is somewhere close.
Yeah.
And a vision is somewhere close. This is the reason why you got to have core values,
right?
Because the core values is leading to something.
Mm-hmm.
Are you with me? So what is the mission of the marriage? What's the vision of the marriage? Who are we in the marriage? Am I making sense? Yeah. So when I got all this, when I know a mission, when I know that we are assigned to become, to build and to bless, it makes a woman want to come under that.
Sure does.
You know why? Because she sees something.
Mm-hmm.
She sees something that is bigger than her. She sees something she's a part of. She sees something that she can cultivate, she can incubate, and she can make better. Are you with me?
I am.
Yeah.
But you got to give me something to work with.
You got to give us something to work with, though.
I think most of the women would agree with what y'all saying, because I am shocked by this.
Let's see that poll. I want to see
now.
it.
You ready to stop?
Yeah, drop that joint. I mean, how many votes we got?
We got 277 votes.
Oh, yeah.
But this is not changing. So I'm gonna go ahead and close it. And 87% of people in the chat say yes. They do believe in gender roles.
Yeah.
Wow.
You probably thought the opposite.
That's what I thought. The opposite is what they would respond.
But
with.
this is the
Culture
thing.
tell you a
but
lie.
no, but this is the part. We believe in gender roles, but not many men give us the option to actually operate in our gender role.
Damn.
Wow.
Operate in your gender role. And what does it look like for what does it look like for a man? Paint that picture for me. A man is allowing you to operate in your gender role. Paint that picture for me.
So I think it depends on how the marriage is set up. It really depends on that, because I don't want to just use, I just had this conversation with one of my really great girlfriends, and we were talking about masculine energy. And so she was, we were trying to, she was figuring out, it was kind of that whole gender role part. For us in our marriage, it looks like I just said, I work still in corporate America. So it looks like he is still the person that when I come home, he makes sure that the things around, like the trash, making sure that the house is, any type of things, repairs or things that we need. He still does to me, I don't want to call it masculine, because there's some single women that are out there that are still having to do these things by themselves. I've been there before too, but I also had a father. But I think it's whatever you define for your particular house. So it's the core values, the things and the expectations that he sees for me as a wife, and the expectations that I see for him as a husband. So I really think gender roles needs to be something that is discussed, because do you really see yourself as being the breadwinner where you want me to stay at home and just raise the kids? Well, when I stay at home and raise the kids, how does spending money for me, how does that look for me? Does that look like I have to come to you for an allowance? I think it's conversations that have to be had, because gender roles for each household are going to be different. So that's a dangerous part. If you look at somebody else's marriage and you try to duplicate that into your own marriage, it's going to be some problems. So there was a long time in the beginning when we first got married. I've been in real estate on the banking sector for over 20 years. I'm well within my career. He was not making as much as me. So at that time when we first got married, it may have been in that season, I was the one that was the primary breadwinner, but he gave me a vision and he gave me a mission, and he showed me, Tiffaney, this is where I see us going. This is what I see us doing. I see me being able to tell you to be able to quit your job when you want to. Now, granted, he's there now where he's doing excellent in life, and I can quit my job. I don't want to quit my job. So it's certain things where I think gender roles, what could be a gender role in one season, it could turn over into, it could evolve into something else. But I really think that has got to be a specific conversation. Yeah. But I want to go back to the comment that I made. Often with women, there is this feminine side of us where in our gender role, we want to be protected. We want to be provided for. We want to be loved. We want to be honored.
Want to be led.
We want to in completely be led. But where are you leading me? Where are we going? Where have you led your life prior to me? It's not so much where you're just leading me in the marriage. What were you doing prior to even meeting me? Like, show me that there are some leadership skills, even if it just looks like you lead by making sure that you take care of your body and you're going to the gym. It looks like you make sure that you are paying your bills on time. I just think often men require this version of women that they have not done the work to actually have a woman to come in and say, yeah, I'll submit to you. And I'm not saying all men, but I can guarantee you probably the majority of the ladies that are listening, you're surprised that we believe in gender roles. We really want to. We really want to fall back. We want you to be the big king. We want you to be the hero in the home. But we're so busy trying to keep the home together, and you haven't really done your part. And it's just sometimes it can feel heavy. God did not design me to carry us, aside from money, because I don't necessarily think that money equates to leadership. It could very well be that you just make sure that when I come home, that it's a peaceful atmosphere, that you make sure that you are utilizing self-control. I know that I'm in a safe, loving environment where I can feel safe. I just don't think sometimes women get the fair end of it.
I definitely don't want to turn this into a man against woman.
No, because it's not, but it's.
Yeah, but you're right. But I think one of the things is missing. I think one of the one of the principles that's missing about marriage and relationships is this: we a team.
Yeah.
And in a team, we got roles. You got a role. You got a role. Delano got a role. And hardly initiated. It's roles in a marriage. It's roles. But the assignment is the team got to win the game, baby.
Right.
And when the team got to win the game, that means that what has to be done at a high level at my role. They pay Patrick Mahomes the big bucks for a reason. Are you with me?
Right.
Yeah. So therefore, in the season that you are in your marriage, you might not always be the quarterback. Sometimes you might move to wide receiver. Sometimes you might have to stand at the line and block. But whatever you do it so well with the mindset of we're gonna win the game.
Yeah.
Okay,
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What made you think that it was going to be different on the poll that just went out?
Well, I'm not surprised because of our following, right? And it is a safe space, so I do expect the women and both the men to be very honest in this space. But just from what's presented online, when you have these, bits and clips of, media or information being put out,
right,
usually the rhetoric around it, which makes it go so viral, is extremely divisive. And it's like, if there's a man or a woman communicating that there should be some submission involved from a woman or for a woman to be receptive of a man's leadership, the pushback is always, this is misogynistic, this is predatory, this is really everything but healthy.
Right.
So I'm not really surprised that our following,
right,
which I think most of the people who follow us are probably on the more traditional end of the spectrum.
And also, you got to remember the poll you originally did. 60-something% of your people are spiritual. Then you have another part that are religious.
Yeah,
so
right.
You're usually going to find women like that are spiritual or religious. We tend to kind of go towards more of the traditional type roles.
Right.
Yeah.
But even though I'm not surprised, I guess I am. I don't know. I'm kind of in the middle. I'm just in the middle because, like I said, I think if you was to just do this poll randomly on the internet,
right,
it would just be.
It makes me sad. I'm just wondering. I guess I was wondering, like, what made it? What's being projected? Where it's now thought that women don't even want gender roles anymore. Like, man, when did it get to this place?
I think it's a lot, honestly, about like the dating rhetoric, which is what I was going to ask you about anyway. With the dating, is as a man, if I am trying to find the best woman for me, and I want to be able to identify if a woman is going to be receptive of leadership, how would I what are some signs that I would know? Like, how do I figure this out?
Oh, humility.
Yeah,
I think humility is one. I think when a woman encourages you, watch this. We know that we don't have it all together in certain areas. We know it may be a little deficiency here, little deficiency there.
Yeah.
When she don't expose the insufficiency and she feels it,
my God,
then you know without a shadow of a doubt that she's trying to make you better.
Right.
Because some women gonna expose you not this. You not that. You don't have this. You don't have that. When she don't expose it, but she step in and say, hey, have you thought about this? I believe if you talk to this person and talk to that person, you can get this going. She can feel the role. It's a difference between a person exposing and feeling the role.
Yeah.
Right? Because when they expose it, they trying to take away. Why are they trying to take it away? They may be trying to take away from you so they can control you, or they can not let you get so high because they afraid that you might try to think more of yourself than what you are.
Yep.
But then you got another woman that's confident, right? She ain't worried about if I feel the role, he gonna go with somebody else. Her assignment is to make you better.
Yeah.
You got me? So that very well may be right there.
And I think another example, I remember when we were dating, since you were asking dating, I in my career, I have to delegate a lot of things. And so sometimes I would come home in the same tone that I would be using that I used at work. I would come home and I would be talking to him that way. And then one day he looked at me, he was like, whoa, wait a second, Tiff. That's you at work. When we come home, you don't talk to me in that way. In the way that I backed down. And I was like, you know what? I apologize. I'm sorry. It was in that moment I didn't try to argue with him. I didn't try to refute it. I didn't try to come back and be like, oh, I'm saying it this way. At that moment, I showed him that you can talk to me and correct me in a situation. And if I back down and really can hear what you're saying, then possibly that he could learn that I could actually be led by him. I think it just through experiences and through conversations, if she'll listen to you and take a critique from you and literally say, I can make these changes to make us better. I think that that's a good way for you to know that you can lead her.
I was just talking about that, but when we went on that bike ride, I was talking to JD, we was riding, and I said one of the two things that I love so much to see in a woman when I'm dating is when she can apologize and when she can express appreciation.
Yeah.
Those two things are just so important to me. The apologizing typically speaks to the ability to hold accountability, to keep your pride in check, to keep your ego in check, which I think is such a beautiful trait to have as a human being.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially as somebody I want to talk about doing life with.
Right.
And then somebody who expresses appreciation, that's going back to that spirit of gratitude that you was talking about, where they just not taking none for granted, where they just going to say, you know what, man, I appreciate, I love this relationship that we have here. I appreciate you, taking that towel off the bed and not putting that towel on the bed no more. When you know I've been complaining about that, because that's my thing. I like to put the towel, but still, but whatever it is, I think those two are very important. And one thing I hear young ladies say a lot is, I only should submit to my husband. I only should submit to my husband. I shouldn't be submitting unless you my husband. I want to speak on that, because
I agree. Let me say it like, let me say it like this. Right. I agree, because I agree. But I think if she starts seeing you as becoming her husband and growing into her husband, I think then she can start submitting at levels. I think it's one level at a time, right? If you the boyfriend, you don't get husband privileges.
Yeah.
Right? You want to submit to a boyfriend?
What is husband privileges? Let's get this clear right now.
Yeah.
So we can get this right.
Submission.
I think it's also, well, we're talking, this is from a believer standpoint. Sex, that's a husband's thing. I think joint bank accounts are a husband. I'm not gonna be joint with that. What would be some other things?
Cooking for a man.
I don't think that is. I think
it whatever works for you.
Yeah, you have it, ladies.
Because I'm saying
but this is the part.
She don't cook.
But I don't. The time doesn't. But we don't miss
we ain't
no
got
meal
time.
either.
Yeah, but we ain't missing no meals.
And we're good.
You see what I'm saying?
And
we got that. That's good for our household.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so since that's good for our household, that's how we flow. But
I just think whenever a man has to try to start making a woman submit, he's got to go back and retract about like, what am I doing to make her not want to submit? There has got to be something you've done prior. I just don't think that it's a fair assessment.
Because the truth of the matter is, women want to submit to a man. Yeah. When you give them something to submit to.
That's facts.
At the boyfriend stage, if they see big things, you'll start seeing levels of submission.
Do you think that I only started submitting to you once we got married, or do you feel like I submitted prior to?
No, I think it was already like it's coded into your DNA. Yeah, I knew like from the start, like I knew like this woman a wife, flat out. I knew that. Why? Because I knew what I wanted. A lot of times we don't know what a person is if we don't know what we want.
Well.
See, I would say too. I mean, in my experiences too, especially if you're a different caliber dude. Yeah, like that's really what it comes down to too. Yeah, and that dude is not gonna really have problem, which is also why women running into those guys, you can very easily take advantage of those women to keep it real. Yeah, because in many ways, like if women really, like you said, they see you that guy. Yeah, especially they hold you in reverence. Yeah. They know you could teach him. Yeah. They know you would make a hell of a husband. Yeah. Right. All those things.
You ain't got to tell them to do that. Right. Yeah. So if I know what I want, if I know where I'm going, I'm walking in the direction of where I'm going. And if I know where I'm going, then I'm becoming somebody too. Mm-hmm. And people see that. And when people see that, that make a woman want to grab a hold to, because you know what she thinking in her mind. I probably can help him make this better.
Right.
I probably can add value to this. You see what I'm saying? Absolutely. That's whether a woman is a game changer or not, she'll find a way to help you change the game if she see you leading.
So I do think at a woman's deepest core, she's down with the gender role. She wants to be taken care of. She wants to be led. And I get what the poll says.
Yeah.
But I'm still very confused because because this is why I say this, because even when we bring guests onto the show, the women, and I reserve my personal opinion about some of the guests that we bring on the show. But I've found, or at least it seems to be, that the women, the niches, their favorite guests are the women who don't seem like they're very open to submission. Mm-hmm. So this seems to be the women that they most identify with, the women that they're like, oh wow, I really like what she says. And me personally, I'm thinking these things sound great. Right. But from my personal interaction with this woman, this would not be a woman that I would be interested in dating, simply because everything that she's presenting is, hey, I'm not interested in submission. I'm not interested in gender roles. Right. In fact, I'm more interested in being evaluated and doing the things that you do. That's just like I said, I'm great guest.
So let me say this, Ryan, and I'm done. I'm talking too much, but let me say this. Everybody will act like something is something when they don't have nothing. Right?
I knew where you were about to go.
If you don't have a relationship and you're not in it, but you see a person saying this and saying this, saying this and saying that, and they saying all the stuff you feel because you actually want to be in her position too. You see what I'm saying? So you'll type the likes, the comments, but the right man come in your life. Everything you said, everything you believe in, you're going to turn it around. Yeah. And watch this. The right man come in their life, they might start watching Highly Initiated.
I get that.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm saying just because people say stuff, put them in the test.
Yeah. I like that.
Put them in the test.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, let me ask you, Ryan, did you want to hit some of these super chats before we got to the next joint?
Yeah, listen, I think you hurt some people's feelings earlier because the super chat start rolling in. So I'm gonna catch up with some, okay?
Yeah, and listen, y'all, get this. Listen, it's 11 p.m. Y'all really rocking with HR Live tonight.
Wow.
Get these super chats in because we about to roll into the very last core value.
Final round.
All right, we're about to run into the last one. So what I want you to do here,
we got new sounds.
I want you to go ahead here and make sure you send those in. But let's actually get to some of these here.
So real quick, shout out to Arlene Parrish who joined the membership. Shout out to Yali who sent over a super chat, and Mrs. Sheila World of Fun. Yali just says she's taking notes pretty much. She says marriage can be so beautiful, especially with these core values we're listening to right now. Mrs. Sheila World of Fun sent over a super chat. Shout out to Selena Hill. Y'all got the TFCC tribe chiming in. She says, shout out to Pastor James and Tiff. Your Soul Gold family is here. Just wanted to show you guys some love. Awesome. Shout out to Shaka. Shaka Aiken says, I love this. I love this couple. I love you guys. Thank you for having professionals teach about Black love and expectations.
We love you too.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and we got a question. So we got to go back to Lee Dave's question, okay? Lee Dave says, Pastor James and Tiff, I love y'all. Can you please explain the difference between spirit and soul?
So we had to go back to the soul ties, to the soul tie segment. Lee, you've heard this 100 times.
He just want to flex.
Yeah, but you ready to flex. You ready to try to turn me on tonight, Lee. But let me just say this right here. I think this can make this clear. In my spirit, I am instinctual, but in my soul, I'm intellectual. In my soul, my mind, my will, my emotions, my memory, my imagination, my personality, right? I got to think logically and I got to reason. But in my spirit, I instinctually move. I don't have to think because this is the core of who I am. So spirit is instinctual, soul is intellectual. That's the difference between the spirit and the soul.
Yeah.
Spirit is instinctual. Soul
is intellectual.
So
the reason why faith is so hard for a person to walk by faith is because in their real faith, they believe in fear more than they believe in making a move. Right?
Because in the intellectual part of you, your mind will make you start thinking of every bad thing that could possibly happen. But the spirit part of me is the one part of me that is just like God.
Intuition.
I'm instinctual. I'll make the move without overthinking it in my mind.
Right.
Because the soul is a part of the mind. It's your will. It's your emotions. It's how you literally go day to day. My personality, how I come into the room, how I make people feel. It's the feeling part of you. Yeah. The spiritual, the spirit of you is literally like the God part of you. It's how God created you, because we are spirit beings.
Yeah. And so in our situation, right, she made a choice to start doing life with me through her spirit.
Yeah.
Because in her soul,
on paper,
it don't add up. No, this dude, high level felon, you know, cocaine ring, all this and all that, like that don't look right. But in her spirit, instinctually, she's saying it's something different about this.
I knew it. And I knew it from my spirit.
You see what I'm
saying? Had
saying?
nothing to do with my mind. Now, of course, I think my husband is extremely attractive. So when I finally met him, but you got to realize I was into him prior to even meeting him initially. We literally started at spirit, soul, and body. We didn't start at body, soul, and spirit. And so that's why it's so hard. We look at a person, they look good. Now we look at them from the body. Then after that, we may start talking to them about like how they feel, like, you know, your personality, you get to know them. And then at the latter part, we get to their spirit. Well, the spirit is literally what keeps us together, because everything in my soul, eventually my body's definitely going to change. In my soul, it's certain parts of me that, you know, that will evolve over time, but it's the spiritual connection that is mixed with the Holy Spirit that keeps our bond strong. So I hope that made sense, Lee, Dave.
Made sense to me. We got another super chat.
We got one more. Shout out to Jasmine. She said, just hearing the backgrounds, it'd be a red flag for most because of the emotional trauma. And I think she's more so talking about Pastor James' background.
Sure. Absolutely.
So
no problem.
It's really not a question. Let me ask you. I think I'll turn it into a question regarding Pastor James' background in particular. Was there, and really your background as well, right? Because you had been through an early marriage.
I had been through, it was a ton of infidelity. It was mental and physical abuse in my first marriage.
Okay, so was there still some remaining baggage, so to speak, or some things that y'all had to work out together when y'all came together, or was you separately all past that and Pastor James the same thing?
So as far as, this is what people don't fully like to say, you don't know the level of healed that you actually are until you actually have to express healing. So meaning that it was 7 years that I had been divorced before I met my husband. I ended my first marriage in 2007. I did not meet him until 2014. Now, of course, during that 7-year journey, I believed that I was completely healed. Well, I didn't know the level of my healing until I actually had to open myself up to be vulnerable to somebody to really, really know if I was fully healed. So I would think, to answer your question, yeah, I think that I had done a lot of the work, and I knew that I had done a lot of the work because I was open. My heart was open enough to be able to receive love again. There are some trauma and some toxic things that can happen in your life where I'll hear women, or I'll even hear men say like, I'm done. I'll never want to get married again. I wasn't at that part. I had healed enough to know that I was worthy of love. I was worthy of someone to be good to me. I was worthy of a faithful companion. I knew my worth. And so the thing was, you can meet so many men that may be good and have everything out on paper. I knew that he was going to take care of my soul. I knew that he was going to take care of my spirit. It was a spirit to spirit connection where sometimes with women, maybe you aren't opened up to receive love again because you haven't fully healed. You really know that you are healing when you are open to receiving new love. But I didn't know the level of if I had been healed. I remember when I was dating him, there was a time, because I dealt with a lot of infidelity. My ex-husband had 2 babies by 2 different women while we were married.
Wow.
Yeah. So you talk about, I went through it. It was traumatizing. And then I remember when I was finally open again to be able to be in a new relationship, I remember talking to him about like, you know, how do I learn how to trust again? And he looked at me, he says, trust. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm waiting for this big, profound statement. Like, tell me, how do I learn to really trust you? He says, I'm going to tell you how. Once again, you're going to have to trust. I didn't really realize how much I had healed until I opened myself up to be able to trust him again by trusting. There is no other way to learn trust again. You've got to trust again. Yeah. There's no protection around it. To learn to trust again, you have to trust.
Yeah. I got one thing. A lot of people focus on healing, but many people don't focus on growing.
Yeah.
Healing is repairing, but growing is restoring. Growing is replacing.
Right.
Some things God want to remove so he can bring something totally new. I'm making sense.
Yeah.
So a lot of people focus, I got to get my healing. I got to get my healing.
Right.
Right. So when you heal, you go from hurting to healing.
Right.
Then you stop. But in growing, I go from hurting to healing to wholeness, to wholeness, to wholeness, to wholeness, to wholeness, to wholeness, to wholeness. I keep becoming such of a new version that I don't even feel what happened to me whenever it happened.
Yeah.
I remember that it happened, but I forgot what it felt like.
I forgot what it felt like.
That's exactly where I am.
Yeah.
I remember the things that happened, but there is a new love. I want to encourage women. There is a new love that you literally can enter into, that you will remember that it happened, but you will forget what it felt like.
Yeah. Yeah. We too concerned about repairing.
Yeah.
And a lot of times God don't want to repair.
We need
to remove and restore something brand new.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So he want to give us a new mind. He wants to give us a new future. He want to give us new appetites. We cannot get the new appetites if we just want to repair the old appetites to make the old appetites right.
We usually want God to do something new with old things. If he's going to do something new, he does it with new things. He doesn't have to take old things to do new things.
First of all, y'all listen, it's 11:10 and they dropping bars. Like, if y'all, I just need to make sure y'all still up getting this. Just put I'm up in the chat if y'all still awake. If y'all, it's 1,300 people right now still on here.
I'm afraid to tell you what they said.
I'm up.
They said I'm not even gonna tell you what they said.
What they say?
So our record is 3 hours and 30 minutes. So they said they want to break the record tonight.
Well, guess what? We can.
So
I'm seeing. Sure they telling me that they up in the chat right now. Yes. And on top of that, we got we have the final core value that we got to get to, people.
I'm up.
So I am excited. I am excited about this last core value. The people saying they up, so let's get to it.
Shout out to Tony Rhea and Kimberly Moore for sending over the super chat, and shout out to Marcus Odoms. And I think Marcus is this is the thing. You let me know what Marcus is thinking. Marcus says gender roles faded with the independent women movement, which we are now evolving from. Women no longer want to carry the weight that God never intended for them to carry. So I think Marcus is saying
he's on the side of the woman.
Yeah, exactly. But I think he's communicating for a lot of the guys that just don't believe. So because I mean the whole thing, it's a whole community that exists.
Yeah,
known as the red pill community, for specifically, in my opinion, for guys who have been hurt.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And
can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why do we even give attention to that? I guess sometimes I understand what culture is saying.
Yeah.
That's not the culture. That's not the culture I'm a part of. So when you are moving forward and you are trying to adopt something new, I don't care what that culture says. That's not my culture. My culture is a culture that literally still believes in love, still believes that there is beauty in marriage, still believes that God has someone that he has designed perfectly for me, still believes that I am worthy of being somebody's rib. I am somebody that's worthy of being protected. But if I care so much about the red pill community, it's taking my thought process away of a whole different other community that's really out here. Who cares about that community? Yeah. That's not my community. Yeah. And if anybody is wanting to really grow and not stay who they were, find a new community. It's big enough to find your tribe. And when you find your tribe, own it. It's a lot of, I hate the bad rep for marriage. Marriage is beautiful. And you're talking to a woman who had a horrific marriage the first time around. That did not mean that I had to go to a community that was going to praise my pain and not encourage me and challenge me that on the other side of pain, there is really beauty for my ashes.
My God.
Until you believe that, then you let that community drag you down to where they are. No. You're going to have to come up to where I am. I'm God's daughter. I'm not just some random chick that's out here. I'm God's daughter. And because of that, from out of the 8-9 billion people in the world,
no good thing.
You mean to tell me that he's going to withhold a good thing from me? No, you can have faith in the red pill community, or you can come over to this community and have faith in this. Over here, we winning.
Because they will drag you down.
And
Yeah.
I'm not
They
gonna
will
let
drag
them.
you
If
down.
you let them.
Yeah, if you let them.
Yeah.
If you let them.
First of all, thank you so much for that word.
Yeah, that was good.
That was
that was good.
That was exactly what we needed and how we needed to address that. And as a matter of fact, this is the perfect transition into our final core value that I'm very excited about, by the way.
Final round.
I'm very excited about this final core value. So let's hear what we got for the people.
Before we go into it, let me say you already got your one core value.
What's that?
You said apologies and appreciation.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's one thing that you just adore. That's your core value. That's one right now for you to start creating your own.
We're giving you
man.
our core values.
Yeah, this ours.
Y'all got to create your own. Maybe
I
take
will
some
have an
of us.
that's a great
Yeah.
exercise for
Yeah.
you and your lady.
Yeah.
Sit down, because I told you, me and Ryan will literally sit down at the top of a business and we will spend a whole weekend carving out our goals for the business, our core values. We literally have a whole spreadsheet of things we need to accomplish before we start doing anything in business together. It's all the vision work. It's all the top level work before we get down to the ground.
You protecting
you're right
your
about
union.
that.
You protecting your union.
Yes.
Right.
You're giving it direction.
Yes.
Man, it's based, your decision making is based on your core values.
Yep.
It's
That's a
right
fact.
there. So you got one.
That's a fact.
The 7-1, last one. In every area of our life, growth is the goal.
You literally just hit it on the last part.
I'm definitely
about
taking that one.
There's a difference between healing and then after you being stuck in a place of
Healing and
healing, then you
growing.
go to wholeness. Then after that, God says, okay, now I have you whole. Let me allow you to keep growing, and you grow and you grow.
Yeah.
So the version that we're at today won't be the same version that we're at next week or a month from now. And so sometimes you have to sit back and look at your relationship and really say, like, how have you grown? We have grown tremendously, tremendously, tremendously. Because I mean, literally, you have to think about it. What do you say? What's the quote that you say? Time doesn't heal all wounds.
Time doesn't heal all wounds. Growth does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Time does not heal all wounds, but growth does. So there are certain things that may have happened in the relationship that we are past the point of healing.
Yeah.
Now God is saying, I'm calling you all to grow.
Outgrow that.
Outgrow whatever that thing is.
Because some hurts and some pains may never leave you.
My God.
But what if you outgrow them? If you outgrow them, then that means you are bigger than them.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened to you don't matter anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
I can really let it go when I outgrow whatever happened to me.
You cannot make your testimony become your idol.
Absolutely.
It happened.
About what you went through.
It happened to me, but I'm not going to just build my life just around that. It happened to me, but I have been mandated to grow past it. Let me create some new memories. Let me create some new opportunities. Let me create a new level of thinking. I can't just stick at where I was. I've got to be so focused. Okay, God, it happened. Now, where are we going? Where are we growing into the next season? It's something to really get excited about.
Yeah.
I have seen, and that's what's kept the sparks in our relationship. It's some things that's so funny that we've experienced together that I laugh at. Like, you had to be there for it to even happen. I can't even think about life separate from my husband because it's some things that we have gone through together, that we have grown through together, where we can't even it's nothing for us to even talk about. We can just look at each other and be like, whoo, remember when that happened?
Absolutely.
Growth has got to be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got to be exciting.
The excitement of life starts with new. The excitement with life starts with a new vision, a new business, a new relationship.
Yeah.
Ryan, you know what I'm saying? A new pursuit.
I get it.
A new life, a new conversation, new friends, new direction. The excitement of life starts with new. So if I can't get new, then I'm stuck in old. And if I get stuck in old, the day I stop growing, that's the day I start dying.
Right. That's the day your relationship starts dying.
How do I know though? How do I know that somebody is as serious about this growth as I need them to be? What does that look like?
Man, them creating, you seeing them creating habits that's going to take them beyond what's familiar, that's going to take them to a place that they don't know if they're going to get to, but if they keep pressing, you know, without a shadow of a doubt, it's going to bring the best out of them.
Right.
Even if it has not come yet.
Even if it had to come, because I'm in a process.
Yep.
Yeah.
We can't be in denial. I think that we don't give ourselves enough credit. You know, when you were with someone that wants to be beyond where you see them at right now.
Absolutely.
Casting vision, especially for men.
Yeah.
Casting vision for where we are. I remember before I met James, I wrote a list of everything that I wanted in a man. The number one thing on my list was I wanted a man that I admired. And so the crazy part is, with his background, it was one of the things like God, I didn't ask God how it was going to happen, but I asked him for somebody that I could admire. And when I think about who my husband was, and I go around his family back in Alabama and I see pictures and they tell me stories, to see who he was, to who God has called him to be, Pastor James is being modest. I have never met another man that knows the Bible like he does, has a deep well of revelation in him. And just to see who he was, where the first book that he ever read was Michael Jordan's
Come
book.
Fly With Me.
Then to get into a situation where he's in lockdown in prison and to get the King James version of the Bible and to be able to understand it. It's a supernatural touch. But when I asked God for a man that I admired, I had no idea how he was going to wrap this man up. So even with ladies, when you're wanting to grow, write a list of what you want to be connected in your life. Sometimes growing looks like, do they have a plan? They may say these things, but once again, are you saying these things, but have you put actions behind it? Are you just saying it just because it sounds good to say? Or are you really putting yourself in a situation where you now are saying it, but you're putting action behind it? So I wrote my list. I got myself together. I put myself on an app where I met my husband. I just wasn't talking about it. I was literally doing the work. And I will agree, when he met me, there is something that I will never allow. I never allowed my past to take away from me. I knew for a fact God had created me to be a wife. There is no other. You have some women that know that they were created to be mothers, or some women that knew they were created to do, maybe they found their career, that they know that this is what they were created to do. I knew that God had created me to be somebody's helpmate. Wow. And I find great joy in it. Yeah. I definitely do. But once again, it's growth. Even me sitting here tonight, if you all know how private like I am, like if our social medias are like two totally different worlds, I probably post once a quarter. I'm just that naturally, but even growing, because this is the direction that God has taken his life in. I'm growing through this, where I've allowed my life to be an open book, because I'm so grateful from where God has brought me from, because I'm continuously growing. I don't ever want to stop growing. And so sometimes growth looks like putting yourself in circles around people that give you the ability to look up.
Yeah, absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt.
Can't always be the biggest fish in the room.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
We are now entering into new phases where we are in places where I'll never forget, we were on this call.
Couldn't even say nothing.
And they were like, any questions? And we're both talkative. We both sat there like, I ain't got no question. And he was like, because they were talking so above our heads, I didn't even know where to begin to formulate my question.
Right.
And because we were on the call, we got the opportunity. I said, okay, God, that means that you are trusting us and that you are preparing us to grow. What does your circle look like? Are you around a group of people that you can look up to that can give you the direction? You all's podcast and what God is doing and how God is changing you and how God is evolving you all. This is the first expression of growth. And it's amazing to see. It's amazing because right now we're just sitting here in the beginning stages. I cannot wait to see what this looks like a year from now.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this too, because I think some ladies are experiencing this. Because I like how you said that.
Yeah.
You said when you talk about seeing if a brother is pro-growth, or sister's pro-growth, look at the habits she creates in her life.
Sure.
Look at her actions, what she is absolutely doing. But
my grandma used to say this. I'm sorry for cutting y'all. She used to say this. I can tell who you are by who you hang with.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Who you running with.
Yeah.
If you see that her friends fooling, she ain't too far from it. Just because you don't see her fooling, but you see her friends fooling. She ain't too far from it.
And y'all know what fooling means. All right. Y'all already know.
Together.
Yeah.
But check this out. Because I've heard ladies express this a lot. What if they see a brother who has the intention to do right?
Yeah.
He starts, he's an ambitious brother. And he starts projects, but he doesn't quite finish. He's a project starter. He starts things and he stops it.
This a habit.
This is pretty much a habit. So like he started that real estate company, but he stopped it after a few months. He started that multi-level marketing company, but then he stopped it when that wasn't popping. He started that credit repair company when it was popping, then he kind of stopped it. But his heart is in a good place. He's a good brother.
Yeah, for
he
sure.
wants good for himself and his family, but he has not quite shown consistency in his action. but he's an action taker.
What's your question?
Yeah.
Is that a concern? Should that be a concern for a woman?
How much patience should she have in that situation?
It should be a major concern.
Let me say this. Let me say this, and you can have it. Yes, it should be a concern. Watch this. If he likes you and pursuing you, and you can't challenge him to complete something, you got a problem. But if you the one, maybe you can challenge him to complete something. Because the goal has to be, if you're about to be in his life, he's about to be in your life, you got to have the ability to challenge him the same way he's going to challenge you.
We've got to be careful not to fall in love with potential and really take a deep look at reality.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of women, we fall in love with the potential of what they could be or what they could do. But you've got to show me that it's beyond potential. That, yeah, I can push you, but I don't want to be your motor.
Yep.
God has not designed me to be your motor. I can challenge you, but I don't want to have to carry through and finish out your project for you. Before you're taking, and this is for a woman that is maybe not married yet, he's got to show you that he has the ability to start and finish or carry on. Because if not, if he's waiting on me to be the motor behind what he's doing, at some point I'm going to be exhausted because I have something else that God has called me to do. And it may not be in connection with what he's supposed to do. You've got to show me some leadership before I connect fully to you. If you're married and this is where you are and you are married to someone and they never follow through, you all need to have a really, really deep conversation. Why aren't you following through? There could be something so deeply in him where he is now more fear-based than faith-based, where he somewhere feels inadequate, like he doesn't have the ability to finish what he started. You got to do some soul searching and figure out what it is, and then come together as a team. And literally, this is the beautiful part about growing. Let's grow into you finishing this. And then that's something you all can do together. Now it's just not him independently, but it's something that I literally heard this podcast tonight. And babe, I want us to come together and I want us to grow into you finishing this project.
5 things stop a person from changing and growing: pride, rebellion, ignorance, fear, laziness. These 5 things.
Get your notepads out. It's a lot of notes tonight, y'all. Give them that 5 one more time, please.
These 5 things will stop a person from growing, accelerating, maturing, and being a good steward: pride, rebellion, ignorance, laziness, fear. Whoever this person is, if you the gentleman, you struggling with starting and finishing, check your pride, check your rebellion, check your ignorance, check your laziness, check your fear.
That's good.
By the way, ladies, of those 5 things, with any of the and brothers too, with the people that y'all dealt with in your life that have not been changing, and specifically significant others, drop the one that y'all see that y'all actually deal with the most in the chat. I want to see that.
Probably what you think? Fear,
pride,
fear and pride.
For me, and pride and laziness.
Wow.
Well,
pride and laziness.
Yeah, I think so, because both of them got to do with talking, right? Who I am. I want people to see me in a certain way, right? But then laziness, I'm getting ready to do it, but you never do it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything is just all around. People want to be respected for what they say, but they want to be respected for what they say instead of being respected for what they do.
Now we got a couple super chats that came in.
Wow. Take the super chats.
Yeah.
Take them.
Shout out to Kathy Wood. Shout out to Nicole. Shout out to Kathy Wood and Nicolette. Nicolette says this couple exudes peace that surpasses all understanding. I like that. Shout out to Bonita. She says Pastor and the Mrs. are super anointed. They're so eloquent. Wife goals, couple goals, soul goals. I like that one.
Soul goals.
And I think Pastor Tiffany, I think you might have woken up a few of the guys.
Hey.
Yeah, the guy says, Quentin, how can one trust someone when that person is displaying untrustworthy behavior?
Why would you want to trust someone that is displaying untrustworthy behavior?
That was an easy one.
Yeah. And then you got just somebody just don't a red pillar.
What are you talking about? What do you say?
It just said marriage isn't worth it for men these days. Good men suffer every day. And I think,
God bless you, brother.
Shout out to DeAndre. The thing is, this is the thing. And in his chat, I actually broke the rule. Remember, guys, $10 or above. But the reason I read that is because I think the reason he's in the chat is because he is looking for hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the only reason you would even be here.
But we've got to be careful with our words.
Right.
Life and death is in the power of the tongue, and those that love it shall eat the fruit thereof.
Absolutely.
If I've already pronounced that over my life, be ready to be able to be in that place where I'm never going to meet anybody. It's, marriage is not for me.
And then DeAndre, right?
Yep.
DeAndre, do yourself a favor. Change worlds. Maybe who you looking for is not in the world you're in.
That's so good.
Maybe if you get out of this world, go into another world, and then you start seeing people thinking different, moving different, acting different, believing different, then you start getting different. Maybe she's in the next world. You stuck in your world. I used to say the exact same thing.
You got to grow out of that world you're currently in.
I used to say the same stuff.
I think that's really... Oh, go ahead.
No, it ain't no good women. It ain't, man, marriage ain't for me.
Yeah.
In that world, no, it's not. But when you come out of that world, it may be on for you.
That's really great counsel, because we had Candid and Dozy on the show. That was the show I was telling you about. We was talking about sex and or just abstinence rather,
right, and
celibacy. And it was a young lady who was actually in the studio. She's in Candid's community. So after, we go outside, we having a conversation, and I'm having a conversation with her, and she was saying that she has been abstinent since 2015. So I'm talking to her, and she kept mentioning the community. And I'm like, yo, who is in this community? And I think she said it was about 20 or so people in the community of women that were all practicing abstinence, all church-going women, all of like-minded. And I was joking with her. I'm like, yo, y'all are unicorns. Like, where y'all at? And she was like, well, you don't date these type of women? I'm like, well, I don't meet these type of women. Wow. And she was like, well, are you trying to meet these type of women? And then I was like, well, I guess I'm not. And she was saying, well, that's the thing. You don't find women like that are in my community.
Right.
Because that is not where your mind is at.
Yeah.
That's good.
And then that was a whole nother conversation.
How did you receive that?
I mean, she's 100% right.
First of all, she was like, first of all, these are the only women that I'm around. Like, she's like, the only women that I even see and talk to are women that are living this life.
Yeah, she was
like, you got women. Wait, she's like, you having sex with women on when?
She was like, first night.
They still do that? Like, she was even shocked that that's still happening.
Yeah.
Wow.
She's been so far removed from that that she thought it wasn't even going on no more.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I was asking her questions like, where do you meet men at? And where did even the event she was naming? I'm like, wow, I've never been. She's like, I went to met guys at a comedy concert, but it was a Christian comedy concert. And I'm like, but she was absolutely right in that you have to recondition yourself, and you have to put yourself amongst these different communities to be able to find exactly what you're looking for. So I'm thinking in my mind, there's no women that's truly real and serious about practicing abstinence.
That just comes from the pits of hell.
It's ridiculous, but it's ridiculous. It's really, that's exactly where it comes from. Just like the guys.
Now the reality is we are in a pretty dark culture in general.
Sure,
like our mainstream culture is dark.
Yeah,
that's just the reality of the situation. So I think you do have to be very intentional about seeking and finding light. Absolutely. I think that's what it is, because I think we try to find light in darkness, and then we say that there's no light.
Because this is the thing: if you found light in darkness, that means you're not in darkness, because light always exposes. So you've got to make sure that you're in a place where you can be uncomfortable in a new season. And many times it's once again that familiarity. We don't expose ourselves to new things because that's not really what we're comfortable in. So I'm excited to see these new communities that you're about to start going.
Right. Right.
Hey, don't be a talker, brother. You better walk that walk, brother. You better walk that walk.
Yeah. And she was very serious.
And guys, look, please we about to listen, it's 11:30. We got to get these folks to bed because they can't. So you listen, y'all, these last few super chats coming in is all we going to read. So go ahead and get them in now. These last ones, let's go ahead and read these last ones.
Shout out to CR Scott. She's one of our lovely initiates. She just promoting y'all. Awesome. She says, will you, Mr. and Mrs. Pastor, be the honorable and official highly initiated?
That's like a new thing. Everybody's in the chat.
I read it wrong for a second.
No, that's what they do. Y'all highly initiated. That's what's going on right now.
Spiritual leaders.
Wow.
See, we already brought them back once, and then we got DeAndre. He says, I'm from the church. I'm currently married and had the experience of being taken advantage of because I have Christian values. I'm guessing my wife saw me as a come up.
There you go. That's the same brother, by the way.
He's giving context to the situation.
And I appreciate that, but don't let one experience become your life doctrine.
My God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Is that the
exception?
Is that the exception or is that the rule?
Yeah.
That's the question. Some things happen to us be the exception. And we'll take the exception and say, no, this the rule.
We'll make it a doctrine for our
life.
We'll
make it a straight doctrine. It ain't no good women. Because one thing bad happened to you. Because some didn't go right for you. You'll make it a rule. The question becomes, man, are you going to get up and try it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, DeAndre, listen, you need to go ahead and hit that join, that membership button, because you need to be up in here with us every Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I can understand how you can come, how you dealing with the emotions and all the things that come with that, especially if you had a family. And you just need to consistently be around something better.
Our assignment is not to allow anything or nobody to steal our hope. Yeah. When I say hope, I'm talking about a joyful anticipation of something good.
Yeah.
Everybody has a joyful anticipation of something good coming, unless you allow something or someone to steal it.
Yeah.
Unless you allow a situation to steal it. But hope listening to us and listening to the story, if you can just believe it and receive it, hope should start stirring up in you.
I think because of what I went through and it was so traumatic, it made me have a level of appreciation for my husband. That is just when you go through something so awful
experience
and then you meet someone and then they are the exact opposite. I never allowed hope to be taken away from me. And that's the thing. You've got to wake up every day because either you're hoping for something good or you're hoping for something bad. You've got to make the decision. Either you're having faith in something good or you're having faith in something bad. Yeah. Every day we wake up and we utilize these things. It just depends on if you're using it for darkness or if you're using it for light.
Absolutely.
I choose to believe the best for my life. I choose to believe that anything that is attached to me, it grows. I believe that I am fertile soil. I believe that I have the ability to enter into someone's life and then they can grow because of their connection to me. If you don't believe these things about yourself, it's going to be very hard to even attract that. Or then you will get someone that maybe will use you. So DeAndre, my prayers for you is that you've heard something tonight and that the Spirit of God literally quickens you where you can have hope again. And this is the other part too. Yeah, we pastor a church, but there are some key phrases that I've often heard, and I've actually heard them on this podcast when we talk about men of God. And we also talk about, like I grew up in the church or I'm just religious. I want people to move back to the church. That's a building. Individually, we are the church. Stop looking at where someone goes and start looking at who they are in life. I'm not talking about a man of God being a preacher. I'm talking about God's man. It's a big difference. So we put ourselves in these situations, and I met him at church. You met him in a building. Did you really meet the church? Did you meet the person? It ain't about the building. It's about who you are individually. And I don't know DeAndre, but there may have been some signs that he possibly saw. Because unless somebody is just real slick with it, I'll say for myself, I knew exactly what I was getting into my first time around. That was a Tiffaney made decision. So when I made the decision, I had to put my big girl panties on and make the decision to get myself out of it. But when I make God's decision, when God is the core, which was our number one value, then at that point, I can bring everything to him. And he is the one that comes in as the comforter, as an advocate, as the standby. He has so many functions. So my prayer is people do not do life without God.
And man, first of all, that was amazing. But secondly, I want to just anybody, especially my brother in here, that's dealing with that very cynical mindset that the world has put onto you, where you just doubting that any good can happen. Just be very careful, because that mindset is contagious.
Yeah.
Because if you believe that you can't have, and you believe that you're in this world and you can't create this thing, what other things do you believe you probably can't create?
So good.
Now, do you believe that you probably can't create financial wealth and success for yourself? Because the statistics are that most businesses fail after year one, and 10% of only businesses have success. Do you also believe you can't have emotional and mental health, or wealth, I should say, in that area of your life? Or are you just selectively cynical, where you believe you can have all of these financial successes, but you can't get this. Listen, it's a double-mindedness there. So just make sure that you guys, again, man, like remove the weeds from your mind and make sure that you really are only putting things into your mind that's going to truly create harvest. And if you somebody who was married, it sounds like at one point you were hopeful,
right?
And you did believe that you could create a happy family, but you literally let one woman come in there and remove that entire hope from your life, brother. That's I'm gonna be honest, that's weak. You can't, nobody should be able to control what you start. You might start a business that might fail. Does now business not work because that took place? No. So we got to be very careful what we let move and shake us off what we want to create in our lives. But in general, I want to leave it at that.
That's a good word.
But DeAndre,
Shout out
please make sure you join. As a matter of fact, please, I want to see, before we get up out of here, I want 10 initiates to join the family here tonight, because y'all know we growing something major. Say it again now.
Still at 1,300?
We at about 1167 now. They're going to sleep now.
Yeah,
so we're gonna let y'all get up out of here.
No. What it is you know that the ad kick in, so it's gonna pop back up back at that 1300
okay.
real quick.
Okay,
yeah, that's the ad kicking in. But yeah, listen. That's what we got it for. It's a safe space for deep connection between men and women. Right. So it's really I really appreciate the men who chime in.
Likewise,
and
big shout out to the brothers in here.
Yeah.
The brothers was active tonight.
They was.
Shout out to the brothers.
Bless y'all, man.
The ladies gonna share. The ladies gonna share, and they gonna share some deep dark stuff that they might not have even shared before. You know, whether in private or with family. So the fact that y'all got the guys coming out is very special. So we'll appreciate that.
Yeah, I love it.
DeAndre, send us an email, by the way, to info@HardlyInitiated. Send us an email. Make sure you join.
Dre, we're gonna get you right
here. Absolutely. Absolutely. I love seeing the brothers active in here. We know the ladies, man. It's just the ladies, y'all truly just design the support. Matter of fact, we know y'all believe in gender roles up in here, because y'all just in here loving and supporting and nurturing the platform. And I'm really thankful to have the brothers in here as well. And listen, again, I want 10 initiates here to join the family today. As you know, the initiates are the people that literally tell us which guests to come to bring on the platform, what topics we need to be speaking out, and y'all are our North Star to grow in this channel. So we need you guys to be active and consistently continue to feed us so we can continue to feed you right back. Sure. And I gotta thank y'all too.
Blessings to y'all
for coming out here.
Thank you all.
They took a flight.
Yeah.
I'm telling y'all,
flight
they took
delays
a flight
and
here.
Everything.
Flight delays
and they
and
still
all.
came out here late. Done spent 4 hours with us at this point.
The longest live we've ever done. The most people we've ever had.
Truly broke a record.
And it was absolutely worth it, man. We love
everybody
you guys.
under the sound of my voice, y'all can go. If y'all hadn't got the Secret of the Soul Talk book, the audio book or the book, y'all can go right now to www.pastorjamestfcc.church. Y'all can cop that.
I'm gonna throw it in the description.
Yes, and y'all please make sure you follow these two on Instagram. You talk about trying to keep a light in your life. They are amazing people that you want to even see when you scroll up. This is what you need on your timeline, some light.
And some people still asking. We did hit number 7, but you could just say number 7 for them real quick.
In all areas of life, growth is the goal.
Matter of fact,
in my spiritual life, growth is the goal. In my financial life, growth is the goal.
Yes.
In my marriage, growth is the goal.
Yes.
In my friendships, growth is the goal. My social life, growth is the goal.
Yeah.
My education, growth is the goal.
Wake up and
in
grow.
My career, growth is the goal. Wake up and grow.
And grow.
That's and listen, I'm probably gonna be repetitive. But for our people that just might have came in late, could we give them a summary of all 7 core values and then we get up out of here? I just want to give them 7 real quick.
Number 1, God is first.
Yes.
And we put each other first.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, if it matters to you,
it matters
to me. It matters to me. Number 3, physical abuse, verbal abuse, neglect, rejection are cancers to our covenant.
Cancers.
Yeah. Number 4, we never go to bed.
We say
I love you
every day.
Every day, and we never go to bed angry.
Well, we don't sleep in bed separately when we're angry.
Yeah.
Number 5, we don't keep score.
Don't keep a score, y'all.
Keep score.
Not at all.
Number 6, my assignment is sacrifice.
Yeah.
Your assignment is submission.
I'm gonna use that one. I hope you know.
I like that.
Yeah. And number 7, in all areas of life, growth is the goal.
Yeah.
Man, first of all, that was a test to make sure they could do it without looking at it.
I was ready to. I was ready to be tested. I thought. The funny thing was, men talking could spit them.
Honestly, we used to do that like at our companies, right?
I love it.
We used to do that. We used to have special tests for whoever could name all the core values.
We used to give a prize. We
used to give a prize. But that just shows the importance of it. And guys, I hope you guys got this hit today, because this is definitely one of my favorite episodes here, breaking down core values. If you don't have any, if you didn't know they existed, now you got 7 of them as a template.
Or create your own.
That you can start with. Or have it as an exercise. Y'all gonna have a core value night. You get to stay in the house and come up with it with your lady, your man, whatever the case is. That sounds fun. Actually, that sounds fun.
It is, because it shows that you're growing.
Yep. It shows that you want to grow.
Yeah.
And you're going.
And you're going.
You're growing. And you're going.
And you're going to be glowing.
And you're going to be glowing. Yes. So, hey, listen, y'all know we love you. I still ain't got 10 people in here. Y'all know we're going to let y'all go ahead and have a good time, because it's still almost 1,200 people up in this chat.
Wow.
We're going to let y'all have a good time in here. I want to see 10 initiates join the family here tonight, but I'm going to let y'all go ahead and get some sleep. All right. But y'all already know, hardly initiated. We are out. Yeah. Good job.
Did it.